Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports F.A.M. podcast.
Let's go!
This is Papi, and I have the honor of hosting once again another episode of this amazing sports podcast. And to my right is Grant, to my left is Luke, and Sports Fam gave birth to a special guest.
We hated that.
We have a new family member.
I don't want to even get into the specifics of how that would work, but whatever.
Guys, I've been planning that for days just to get your reaction.
I wish you would have had more time to work on it, honestly.
I think you should have put some more planning into it. If we're being honest.
Elite planning. All right.
Unplanned.
So here we go. All right. So we have a special family guest here. His name is Joseph Dickens.
Yes.
Great to be here. Yeah, man, we're glad you're here, and we're gonna give Joseph an opportunity to introduce himself, and we're gonna ask you some questions. He's gonna share some sports, some of his own sports loyalties and alliances, and we'll get kind of into that later. But we've got bringing back a couple segments, this or that, right? We'll be bringing that back, and we're just gonna kind of see where this episode goes, right? And just kind of have a lot of fun with it. But we're really excited to have our good friend Joseph with us, and so let's just kind of, before we have you share, if that's okay, which it is because it's our podcast.
We got a choice. Yeah, sit back and watch how it's done.
Right. So we're gonna ask Luke. I'll go with you first. Give us a memory or how you know Joseph. Like, don't spend a lot of time. 30 seconds. Go.
From the womb, when I was born, Joseph was there. I feel like I've known him my whole life, probably because he was in your guys' youth group.
Yeah.
So that's how there was like a base knowledge of each other. And then we got back from Ireland. Obviously, I was a little older, and he started going to our church, and so we just got a little more connected. Then started doing teens with him, the teens ministry, at Living Church, and then we've just kind of been close ever since. So
Sweet. Awesome. Grant.
Yeah. So I also kind of have memories of like how Joseph was in Dad's youth group, and like I have weird memories of like you bringing the youth group guys over to our house and playing your Atari in our basement.
Wow. Really? Atari.
I think
that
I'm pretty
old?
sure that happened.
Yeah, I'm pretty old.
Wow.
I look good, but I'm old.
But I think the biggest thing.
Yes.
Go ahead, Grant.
I can already tell this episode's gonna go off the rails so quickly.
Go ahead. How do you know Joseph?
I would say the biggest one. I think one of the biggest connections that I have with Joseph is beyond just like he's a family friend, but like he also was my guitar teacher growing up, which is very interesting because Dad was.
Spoiler alert! Don't take how he knows.
Yeah.
Well,
It's supposed to be how you know him, not how I know him. Go ahead. No,
I was just gonna say like it just came kind of full circle because Dad was your guitar teacher,
That's true.
and then you taught me. You kind of took like a little bit of my base knowledge that I had, and you taught me more and like took it, and now
Now
we
you'll
get
have
to
to
like
teach my daughters to play guitar.
yes, dude, that'd actually be kind of cool. But now we get to be on the church band together, and have done some really cool music stuff together, and now we're just like close friends, and it's been pretty awesome. And we give each other a bunch of crap sometimes as jokes and roast each other, and it's great.
he's not joking.
Yeah.
He's dead serious.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll cry
so,
later,
all right.
it's fine.
Thank you, guys. So, I've known Joseph for, many, many moons.
Millennia.
Millennia.
Yeah, so,
The Millennium
as
Falcon.
my boys have shared, Joseph was, even really before you were in the youth group,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, Joseph, as Grant shared, I had the privilege and honor of giving some basic how to play the guitar lessons to Joseph. He is far beyond anything that I could play now, that is for sure. But that relationship began really that at that point, I think, teaching the guitar, and then it just kind of grew from there.
Growed.
And shut.
I am Groot.
They grewed.
And so, yeah,
I am
the friendship, it's really cool to see where that friendship has grown from, teaching this guy guitar to now being friends and serving together at our local church and local churches, which is super fun. And just as a dad, too, kind of my Papi moment here, it's really awesome to see now Joseph investing in and not just the boys, but our whole family, and he and his wife Hannah and their 2 girls. So super excited to have you here. Obviously, to talk sports, but personally, for the 3 of us, it's really awesome to have you because we do care a lot about you. We love you. We're thankful for you, and we're glad to have you here, man.
Yay.
It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be honored to be the first guest of the Sports F.A.M.
Yeah. First
We
guest.
didn't really have much choice.
Yeah, so I did invite myself. I'm
Kind of.
not sure if they really want me here or not.
Yeah,
But
well,
we did.
Who's gonna tell?
I'm sure he'll find out eventually.
I will say, my dream is to become the Aaron Rodgers to your Pat McAfee.
Oh,
So,
okay,
you know.
okay.
Recurring guest.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
I was gonna say,
We were
like,
like this.
retreat,
That's what I was thinking.
has high expectations. but
There's his
eventually
Achilles.
fails that.
There's his
Yeah.
Achilles 3 minutes into the podcast.
All right, so let's just move forward. So you have anything you want to share? Sorry, I did the
No, it's just, it's
Did
just
you use the right sound effect?
totally always.
It's an honor to be here. I'm very excited. I'm a big fan of the podcast. I've listened to all 3 episodes in their entirety.
Wow.
Yeah.
You might be the only one.
Speaking of the podcast, give us like your assessment so far. 3 episodes in.
I love it. I'm sure it helps that I know you guys
Sure.
personally,
Sure.
but it's genuinely really fun. I enjoy.
It's been really fun. I like the balance of like you guys definitely. I like how you talk sports. You know sports, but it's not so deep that like it just like spurs some fun debates, some good conversations. And yeah, you keep things moving really well. I like the segments. I really like the game sort of things that you guys do. Yeah, it's cool. It's great. Cool.
And I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I thought I heard you say earlier that this is your favorite sports.
Yeah.
No, not just my favorite sports podcast. My favorite podcast.
What? Did you guys hear that? Say that one more time.
It's my favorite podcast.
Of all
Yes!
the one
Put that
podcast
on a
Joseph
t-shirt.
listens to, this is his favorite.
That's right. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And thank you that you've made us your favorite favorite podcast.
I say what I
Yeah.
need to say to get on the show.
That's right.
I will say, I think you
You also text us, please let me be, please let me be on the
I
show.
love you guys. I've known you for
Begging me.
years.
You haven't even I think you were still like listening through the first episode. You're like, I want to be a guest. I want to be a guest. I'm like, yeah, let's bring him on.
But we would have you on as our first guest anyway.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
Maybe.
a real honor.
probably. I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah, what were you going to say?
I can't remember. It's fine.
Okay. All right, so let's just transition to your sports alliances, loyalties, sports you played growing up. Give us a little bit of your sports history background.
Yeah, so I would say primarily over the course of my life, primarily an NFL fan, Chicago Bears fan specifically, which
The Bears.
Luke, if you can
don't
narrate
hate
what's
the
about to
Bears.
happen for those
guys,
listening.
watch what's going on.
Sorry,
Joseph
Grant,
takes
but-
a Matt Forte jersey that he has and
Whoa,
is putting it up. He put it up over the Jamar Chase jersey.
Over the Jamar Chase.
At least put it over the Baker Mayfield Browns jersey, which is irrelevant.
Hey, I'm throwing a flag on you.
I love Baker.
Yeah, you got to be quiet for the next minute because
Shaking
you just
Baker.
dogged my Baker Mayfield.
At least I was talking about the Bengals this time.
Anyway.
That's true. Go ahead.
So yeah, primarily NFL, Chicago Bears. My dad's a huge NFL fan. That's kind of been one of our things, my whole life. I was born in Chicago, did not live there very long, but growing up, the Bengals really never gave me anything to draw. The '90s Bengals weren't a huge draw away from keeping my alliances with my dad.
Sure.
Also, I'd say next to the NFL and quickly maybe becoming my favorite sport is Formula One. We'll talk about that more later.
Okay.
McLaren F1 team.
Yeah, he has a shirt and everything.
Wow.
I've got a few shirts,
oh, wow.
multiple.
So does that mean you're? Never mind. Keep going.
But just a sports fan in general. I was the kid growing up that Sports Center was on. Anytime I was home, TV was on Sports Center. I was playing Madden, playing 2K.
We've had quite a couple 2K games that we
Did you
played
ever play
together.
NFL Street?
Yes.
Hey, you're not.
Yes.
Your minute's not over.
Oh,
Are you
rough.
serious?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's another minute.
So, as far as playing sports, would not say I'm the most athletic person.
Why not?
I sat the bench in basketball through middle school and then stopped doing that because I was boring. Played
yeah, that's
baseball
bad.
also through middle school. I was okay at baseball. Probably by no means was I good, but it was my best sport. Then I was on the high school bowling team.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, bowling.
Should have been the captain my senior year, but then we didn't have enough people for a team.
Oh, that's
So,
So-
it happens.
Okay, pause. So you're on the high school bowling team. Not enough people to what? To have a team?
So my senior year, I would have been the team captain because the coach's son was the captain up until then, but he graduated.
Of course he was.
Oh.
I mean, he was really good. Mitchell Hom. Shout
I'm
out.
sure you were better.
Okay, yeah.
And then our senior year, we didn't have enough people for a team, so it just ended.
That's lame.
Bummer.
What was your highest that you've ever bowled?
273.
Whoa,
Golly,
bro!
wow.
Seriously,
That's awesome.
that's amazing. What's your average?
I don't remember. I mean, now like 70.
What? How do you go from 273
Bro,
to 70?
I think I could beat you.
I don't bowl at all ever.
So you're no longer captain of the bowling team.
Captain another.
No.
one.
Well, to be fair, he lost to nepotism, so it's
That's
I
true.
don't even know what that means. Anyway, keep
Can you
going.
put it in a sentence?
That's all.
Okay, so you
That's all I have to say.
so bowling, not captain of the bowling team. Is bowling a sport?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It involves a ball.
There's leagues that requires physical skill.
I was gonna say it requires.
It's on
leagues.
ESPN.
It's a sport that is
The
like
Ocho.
recognized by I think multiple countries
Yeah.
have leagues and like
Is it in the
tournaments and
Olympics?
stuff like that.
Oh, why isn't it in the Olympics?
Well, neither is flag football.
It's gonna be. They're gonna have flag football be an Olympic
know.
sport before bowling.
They've said
And
that for the last
Was bowling
like, year
ever
and
in
a
the
half.
Olympics?
I don't think so. I don't think bowling was ever in the. I don't know, but
But breakdancing's in the Olympics. Are we
I
really
know
gonna say that's a sport?
breakdancing is in the Olympics and
So we're gonna
bowling
say
is
that-
not.
Breakdancing
That's
is
the-
cool as
And
heck,
we have
but I don't-
almost
it's not
a team
sport.
captain of a bowling high school team, and it's not even considered an Olympic sport.
We almost have. I don't even know what I was gonna say.
That's good.
I just wanted to say something to be included. I guess.
Hey, Luke.
Oh,
Oh, trying to be funny.
Luke feeling sad and alone?
Maybe.
all right. So, Chicago Bears bowling, Formula One. Let's talk your
I don't know
Bears.
that I put them in that order, but
Yeah. Okay.
sure.
Bowling,
Bowling.
Bears, and
Bowling.
boring.
Bowling Bears and
Whoa.
Formula One, BBF.
Yeah. Okay. So you talked a little bit about. I want to know how your dad did it because, like, you're a Bears fan.
Mhm.
Didn't really live there, but you're a Bears fan.
Yeah.
Because your dad pretty
Yeah.
much was a Bears fan.
Yeah.
I need to have your dad on because, like, my boys. I'm a huge, as you guys know, Cleveland Browns fan. Neither of my boys are Browns fans, so I obviously did something wrong, and your dad did something right. I'm not sure what it was. Do you know? Could you enlighten us on any of that?
I don't know. I mean, he loved me well.
Oh.
He nurtured me.
There's the problem right there. I think we discovered the issue.
Did he make sure you only watched Bears games so that you
We
had
watched a
no
lot of
other
Bears
teams
games.
to cheer for but the Bears? You didn't realize there was a brighter side?
I think that, I mean, the Bengals were really bad in the 90s. You guys are a
Yeah.
little younger than me, so you made it to the good Bengals
Mm-hmm.
way quicker than I did.
That's true.
The better Bengals.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
How about the 85 Bears?
you know, I was born in 1990, and the 85 Bears are my favorite team.
Are they really?
I
Is
mean,
that allowed?
Do you remember? I mean, you're 5, so.
no, I was born in 90. I
Oh,
was
no, you
negative
were 5. Sorry.
I was negative
I'm great at
5.
math.
This might be the reason right here why you could never help me with my homework. So I was like, what does he know about sports?
He's
If
like,
he can't even do
figure out math by
simple
yourself.
math.
Like, Dad, I need help with statistics. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
Dad, what's 5 push 5? I don't know. Ask your mother.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
So,
I mean,
okay.
the Bears fielded a few exciting teams through my childhood. You know, you had the Super Bowl in, was that 2007?
Devin Hester.
Devin
Oh,
Hester.
Was that the one against
A
the
few other
Colts?
playoff
Yeah,
teams.
against the Colts.
You know, so they've never been great, but they've had some exciting years to keep you.
What do you think of Caleb Williams?
I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sold that he's the franchise future, but
Sure.
I'm still really hopeful. I think if you look at I think you guys even talked about this on one of the first episodes, like Jaden Daniels, you can't really make a comparison this year, but
Very
if you
true.
look at his numbers, he's not that far behind those guys, and that's with a team and a front office that was like completely in the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, this year will be a big tell with a new coach who specifically
Johnson.
said he's going to
Great hires your head coach.
You don't have really any excuses now.
It's
And-
true. Good point.
Yeah.
Well, and like the thing, for the Bears for a while, they've had this cadence where they've brought in a first-round quarterback and then fired their coach the next year. So the coach comes in not really wanting the quarterback that they just drafted. That happened
Okay.
with Trubisky and with Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time the new coach has come in and said, I'm going to build an offense around this quarterback. Like, this is our guy. We're going to build the offense to him. Where I think if you look at what happened with Trubisky and with Justin Fields, the coaches that came in basically tried to make them into the opposite type of quarterback that they were naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not like all in, but I'm excited. I think there's potential.
He really, towards the end of the season, I felt like started to finding his footing
And-
a lot more.
Yeah.
As a Bears fan, the biggest thing is he did not throw dumb interceptions.
No, he had 8
And that's,
interceptions
we've
on the
maybe
year.
never had that.
Yeah,
in
that's
my
not bad
lifetime.
for a
No.
rookie.
Joe Burrow had
20,
more than
20
him, actually.
touchdowns to 8
Yeah.
interceptions is a pretty decent, especially for a rookie, a pretty good.
Pretty decent numbers.
Yeah, well, it's,
With the
ratio.
Bears, too.
and
I
that's
mean,
with a
it's
pretty
impressive.
mediocre offensive line
Yeah.
too,
their
right?
offensive line's not very good.
Bad offensive
So-
line. And then genuinely there were stories coming out because the Matt Eberflus just completely lost the team and Luke
Yeah.
Getsy was a terrible offensive coordinator that like there were players that were just not trying and like that's kind of become public knowledge now.
Wow.
Too. That they just refused to play for those coaches.
So I want to take you back to the 2017 NFL draft, where the Bears have picked what?
Two.
9? 2.
They traded up.
Traded up, and then this was when they got Trubisky, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And they had a couple quarterbacks that were on the table.
Sure did.
Some big names.
Sure did.
I know a guy by Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes.
How when they drafted Trubisky, were you like, this is like our guy? How high on him were you?
I was confused.
I would, yeah.
Whoa.
I think I was the same way.
You want to unpack that?
No,
No.
Okay.
I don't really have much else
he
to
like
say.
just
honestly.
got done.
It
Like,
was a mistake.
going-
What else-
getting
not
over
much
it.
else to
If
say.
I remember correctly, and don't quote me on this, I had a little season where I wasn't keeping up with like the off-season stuff as much.
Sure.
But I believe that Trubisky played one full season in college at North Carolina, at least as a
Yeah.
starter.
I think you're
Yeah.
right. I think you're
And
right.
I think everyone was kind of like, I think people thought he had potential, but there was like, hey, this is not a number 2 overall pick.
I will say,
Um,
Dad during that season was like,
Totally.
I think the Browns should get him. He's really good.
Really?
Yeah. I think he still could have been good. Like to his point though,
I agree.
to his point, a lot of it is coaching and the style that the coach wants to play,
It
an
is,
offensive coordinator. I look at Baker Mayfield. Mayfield's been great at Tampa.
Dude, his
right?
coaching.
He wasn't great early on, but look at what he's done with a new team, offensive line,
tearing it up.
coaching. I mean, so I do think some of these, unfortunately for some of these quarterbacks, they just end up at the wrong team with the wrong coaching. Put them in the right environment,
Yep.
and I think they can excel.
Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
Darnold.
right. Great point.
Perfect example of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Trubisky ever would have been great, but I think he could have been very serviceable.
Sure.
His Achilles heel was the dumb interceptions, and I don't
Yeah.
know that's not about a coach trying to make you play a certain style of game. That's just making a dumb
Bad
decision.
mistakes.
Yeah.
Was there a
Um,
quarterback in that draft that you were like, oh, we should get him?
Not really.
Okay.
No. I mean, like in hindsight, you could also because I believe Deshaun Watson was in that draft
He
after
was.
Trubisky, which I mean, obviously
so.
now seeing where that's gone would not have been a good idea. But
Sean Watson had a couple of
I
years.
think like
though,
the
after he got
3
drafted,
Yeah.
or
where
4
he was
really good years of Deshaun
crazy.
Watson
Yeah.
probably would be worth
yeah, early in his
over
career,
Trubisky.
like, at the time, you're seeing what Trubisky and Mahomes are doing.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, what Watson and Mahomes are doing compared to your quarterback.
Yeah.
Right.
It was kind of that way with the Browns.
I
and Baker
believe.
for a while,
Don't
too.
quote me on this.
Yeah.
I think Christian McCaffrey was also in that draft.
Oh man.
No
Dude.
way.
Look it up. Somebody look it up.
I don't have my phone.
Okay. Joseph's got it. Our guest, our special guest.
I don't know
Yeah,
if service
put
in
him
your
to work. I thought he was.
I don't have service in
I
your
thought they were in the
basement, so
2016
He may have been the year before. I don't know.
draft, but maybe not.
I know
I
there
don't
were a
know.
couple other like non-quarterback, like
Really big
franchise type
playmakers.
players that
Yeah.
that we passed up.
I have a question just because we're talking about like Caleb Williams and like the new coaching situation.
Yeah.
And what would you like just prediction? What do you predict the Bears record's going to be next year? And like factor in like who they may draft with their current draft pick, like and like where you project them to be before the start of the season. Where do you think their record is by the end of next season?
I think a very realistic, hopeful prediction would be 10-7 or 11-6.
That's a very.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. I don't think they're going to win the division. I think Detroit wins the division again.
Yeah.
I hope so. Sorry.
Me too.
I like
I'm
Detroit.
not sorry.
So.
I mean, honestly,
I love
like
Detroit.
if somebody else in the division is going to win it, I want it to be Detroit.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love their story.
Yeah,
Who's
boy.
that whole division against? Detroit, Minnesota,
Green Bay.
Bears, and Green Bay.
Yeah. So here's your 2017 draft. Number 1 pick, Myles Garrett.
Oh, this was.
Number 2 pick, Mitchell Trubisky.
Yikes.
You also had
What a gap between
Jamal
those two
Adams.
players.
You had Mike Williams. You had Christian McCaffrey, number 8.
Oh yeah, Christian and Alvin Kamara was in this draft. Wasn't
You
he?
had John
Yes.
Ross. The Bengals drafted John
Oh,
Ross.
what a failed-
We need to
what
talk
a
about
failed-
that.
No,
We need to talk
no,
about
no.
that because that's hilarious.
That was
They picked John Ross over Patrick Mahomes.
the funny thing about that too is John Ross's first snap of an NFL game.
Oh, yeah.
he takes it and just fumbles the ball. It was so funny.
It was the only thing going for him was that he was fast. He was undersized, and like I just personally I was
TJ
like,
Watt,
okay,
sorry.
I would like to see this
Not
guy
bad, too.
succeed, but like I think every Bengals fan was just kind of like,
Yeah.
like wasn't Laquan Treadwell in
The
that draft too? And
Probably.
I was like, I think a lot of fans were like, pick him over John Ross, and it was like, no, we want only speed and nothing else, and it was just a
Bengals
failed
had
experience.
They had a few rough years of drafts.
oh, man. No kidding.
Oh,
You
dude,
could
yeah, they
argue
did.
with some of like their late round picks. Even now, they have had some failed, like Jermaine Burton in round 3. Like with all the stuff coming out about him, dude. Like
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
a
They knew what they were
blown-
getting.
Okay,
though.
so we've got Bears. We've got bowling.
Dang it, you talked about the Bengals again. Oh,
No. Well,
No,
I brought that up.
he brought
I
it
brought
up.
that up.
I capitalized on it.
I'm still blaming you.
So all right. So we got Bears, bowling, and now what was the other one?
Formula One?
Formula One.
All right, you want to go into this?
Sure. Let's
Okay,
go
so
into it.
last episode, you guys had a segment of, what do you do when football's over? Because I think it's
Yeah.
obvious. Probably
Okay.
you guys, a couple of you are NBA fans, some different soccer, EPL and MLS, but it seems like NFL is all of your main sport too.
It's a lot
Um,
of people's.
mhm.
Yeah.
And I think there's kind of a general when football's over. This season right now, at least until you get to March Madness, is kind of maybe the worst time of year for sports. I'd say I'd argue either now or like after the NBA Finals until NFL starts.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's just such a
yeah.
dead period for
Well,
me.
I have an answer for you. that fills in
Okay.
all of
Oh,
those
exciting.
Please enlighten us.
Yes.
Formula One.
Oh,
Tell
man.
us more.
But isn't that
is
just
that
a
like
bunch
baby
of
food?
cars racing?
Formula One.
I mean,
What is
yes.
Formula
Oh.
One?
Yeah.
So no, okay. So Formula One season starts the weekend of March 16th. That's the
Okay.
actual first race. So you get like
okay.
this month, you get a lot
A
of the
break.
exciting preseason stuff that's building up
There's
to
preseason to Formula One.
not like preseason games, but there's like all the news coming up leading up to the new season. So like a big thing, and once you get into Formula One, is like the reveal of the new cars, the new livery, which is that's the word that like the design of the car, the look of the car. It's called
Okay.
like it's the car's uniform as the
This
livery.
car has 4 wheels. No way.
I love this sport.
So you get preseason testing, which is they go out and drive the new cars on the track for the first time. So you start to see like what times teams are putting in.
Okay.
And the season goes from mid March of the actual first race up until like November. So
Okay,
you
so it's
overlap with
pretty-
football
Oh,
in the
wow,
fall.
okay.
Yeah.
But you get
It's a long
all,
season.
You get that early or late winter, early spring gap. You also get the midsummer gap. You got Formula One.
Is there a playoffs?
No,
It's all just point system.
it's all point based.
Okay.
There are 2 champions. So there's a driver's so little setup for Formula One for anybody who's not a fan. There are 10 teams, 2 drivers per team.
Okay.
20 racers total. Every now and then 1 or 2 of those guys will get switched out throughout the season. But one of the things I love about it is like you actually everybody. You even the most diehard NFL
Personally?
fan. Yeah, I know all of them. Had them over for dinner last week.
Oh.
That would
They-
be
see,
exciting,
like-
actually.
Can you give me Max Verstappen's number?
No, I don't like him.
Oh.
Oh,
So
That's all I
You-
think about.
but you get like to know who all the drivers are. It's like even the most diehard NFL fan, you don't know like the second string lineman on a random team, that sort of thing. You know everybody. Maybe you do if you're a real diehard fan, but
Grant doesn't.
Wanna bet?
and so there's a driver's champion, which is the driver with the most points. That's probably the most sought after championship.
Mhm.
Like that is
Sure.
the champion. But there's also what they call the constructors champion, which is the team championship. So your 2 drivers' points added together.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So sometimes the driver's champion, his team will also be the constructor champion. But like this past season, Max Verstappen was the driver's champion, but his teammate was terrible. And so McLaren, my team, for the first time in years, won the constructors championship
Oh,
because
wow.
both of their drivers were really good.
Who are the
so
drivers?
like the sponsor of the
Lando
car.
Norris,
Lando
and-
Calrissian.
Lando Norris,
Is it
Lando
cool?
Norris.
and Oscar
Norris.
Piastri.
Lando and Oscar.
Pastry.
Lando
Osteoporosis.
Calrissian.
I
and
really
Oscar
want
Lando
pastry.
Calrissian and osteoporosis. I got it.
So, there you go.
Dude, I'm loving this sport all
Chuck
the more.
Norris and Lando Pastry. That's what I heard.
There you go. Yep. You got it.
I have a question.
Yes.
How did you choose McLaren as your?
Oh,
Yeah, that's a good
wow,
question.
yeah. Well, what are the other options?
So you've got
I gotta know. Like,
So as of right now, where things are expected to be. Now, I will say another part of my pitch for you guys to become Formula One fans. The next two, like Formula One, if you're not really into it. So I should say this is also my pitch to become diehard fans, not just like casual fans. Because if you're just a casual fan, Formula One can get a little boring from time to time because sometimes one team will just be totally dominant for like 4 years straight. And so if you don't
Chiefs.
if you don't get like a little bit more
Warriors.
into the weeds of it, you're just like, well, Red Bull wins all the time. This is boring. But if you're like a little bit more into it and have some more stake in it, it's still exciting, even if one team's winning.
Okay.
So as of right now, there's kind of a top four, which is Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, and Mercedes.
Okay.
Those are kind of your top four. This year, I think McLaren are still the favorite to win the team championship, the constructors again. But any of those four teams could do something really exciting this year. Then the other six, you have Williams, who I'm excited about. They're kind of, I think, a team on the rise that's been
Wow.
really bad for a long time.
I was going to say that. I did know.
Williams, Caleb?
You've got Haas, which is the one American team.
The what?
Haas, Haas. It's
Haas.
named
The
after
Wizards of Haas.
some of the teams are not. Yeah, yes. There you go. They're not wizards. They're pretty bad. You've got, let's see, Alpine. You'll think it's Alpine. It is Alpine. It's a I believe French car company.
It would be
You've got Aston Martin. You've got let's see, who am I forgetting?
Mitsubishi.
Visa Cash App
Mitsubishi.
Ford.
Visa Cash App Racing Bull, the worst team name on the grid.
Visa
Really?
Cash App
Yes,
Racing
that's
Bull.
actually their team name. Visa Cash App Racing Bull.
So
It sounds
is
like
it-
they just took 5 sponsors and put pieces of their
That's
names together.
basically what they did.
Is it not a car brand?
Not all of the
Okay.
teams are car
Luke's
brands.
over here
Oh,
naming
okay.
Mitsubishi as like a sponsor. I'm like
I feel like I'm forgetting someone.
the Ford F-150.
Sauber. Sauber. I think
Sauber.
have I said
Seabird.
10 teams? I don't know if I've said 10, but we're close. If not,
That's good. Okay, so
Yeah, that sounds like
now
fun.
tell us why you chose McLaren
Yeah.
over those others.
So another thing I would say, if you're interested in getting into Formula One, on Netflix, there's a show called Drive to Survive.
I think I've heard of that.
That's how I got into it. Drive to Survive got really big in 2020 because everybody was at home because of COVID, and it's an extremely well made. They do a 10 episode like documentary for each season of Formula One, and it always comes out the week before the season starts, which is like another thing that happens now-ish, where you're building up hype for the season. But Drive to Survive is an awesome, like well-made show. I will say, I know, we're all Christians here. There's a lot of Christians maybe listening. Formula One drivers do not have the cleanest mouths, so just fair warning if you go watch that show.
Rough.
But there's a new rule. Here's another reason to get into
there's the
Formula One as a Christian. There's a new
Absolute
rule.
heathen.
So while you're watching a race, there's something called team radio, which is like you can on TV you'll be able to hear the drivers like talking to their
Yeah.
crew. And there's a new rule this year from the FIA that it's like really controversial that they're not allowed to cuss on team radio anymore because
Wow.
like half of what they say usually gets bleeped out on
That's
live,
kinda
like on
funny.
live
yeah,
TV.
it doesn't. Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't.
You're
make
not
for
going to
great
understand what
TV.
they're saying.
Right.
And back
I
into
think that's
McLaren and
kind
what
of-
they're saying.
Basically, yes. And I think that's kind of the
Like a heart
FIA's
monitor.
point is like they don't want to have to just bleep everything out. But it's kind of a controversial rule among in that news world. But anyway, I started watching Drive to Survive, and it just got me hooked. I will say also another little thing. I have found that I have a couple friends, shout out to Jason and Zach, that we
Jason
kind of,
and Zach.
Jason and Zach.
Let's give him a shout out.
Zach and Jason.
Do we know these guys?
I mean, Jason Tucker, you guys know him.
yeah, we know
Ah,
Jason. Hey,
Jason.
Hey,
Zach is my good friend and my boss at work. So
hey,
Joseph's
Zach. Hey,
boss.
that's it. Yeah.
Joseph does not do the cussing. He's a very good employee.
I'm a great employee.
Yes.
He's told me very good things about him and you and the job. Good
Yep.
company.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
You should give him a raise.
I was just
I was
about to
gonna
say,
say that.
and
Yeah, yeah,
deserves
yeah.
a raise.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So
So I will say, like, we've all, I think, feel that once you become like a real Formula, this is going to sound real, like, yeah. But once you become a real Formula One fan, Drive to Survive starts getting less interesting because they like intentionally put in like a bunch of drama and stuff that isn't really necessary to like the sport, but it's a really good way to initially get into it, to get to like know the drivers a little bit because they all get interviewed. But Drive to Survive, I feel like always tries to add like additional like plot lines to the season that aren't really necessary to still make it fun.
So that's how you separate like the real F1 fans from like the fake ones. If they like it, you're like,
and like I
casual.
still like it, like I'll still watch it, but it's not like
You don't like watching
the first couple seasons. Like, oh, this is amazing, and then now
Yeah.
I'm like, it's still a fun thing to watch, but it's not like I would much rather watch a race. And actually, I feel like Max Verstappen has a very controversial reputation. I'm not a fan of him, but I think he kind of got painted as the villain in Drive to Survive, and so I think he actually has like a way worse reputation than he deserves. As a person, like as a driver, I think everybody kind of agrees he's the.
Can we get 5 big hooms for Max Verstappen?
Instead of booms, we just get the hums.
I hope
Okay,
that
so
can't be
all right. So have you
copyrighted.
still told us why you've chosen McLaren?
Oh, sorry. So
Okay. Just trying to bring us back together, boys.
2 hours later.
so on watching through the seasons of Drive to Survive, Lando Norris just became one of my.
Why?
He became my favorite. I don't know. Just seems like a fun guy.
It's a cool name.
Cool guy.
Cool.
He's kind of now he's arguably probably second best on the grid. But at the time he Drive to Survive kind of followed his rise to becoming one of the greats racing right now.
Okay.
And so he was just fun to follow,
That's
and so I
kinda
just
cool.
kind of adopted his team as the team I follow.
Okay.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So what time? Like, we know what time of year, March to November. What time of are these on Saturdays, Sundays? When are these races?
Almost all of the races are on Sundays.
What time?
All over the map because they race all over the map.
Oh!
So, that was unintentional, but proud of myself.
Good job.
So yeah, usually I will just record them and
got
watch
this
them
again.
after church. It's a nice little because usually a lot of them because they're in Europe and like the Middle East.
They're overnight.
They happen early morning, late.
So we would never see this sport live.
Not never, but
Well,
Rarely.
a good portion of the races will take place between like 6 a.m. and noon on Sunday.
It's like watching a TV show then.
I mean, kind
You
of.
just watch
What?
it and it's already been recorded.
I just don't
Oh.
check social media during church like I shouldn't anyway.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then
Luke.
You're not supposed to do
it
that?
might as well be live to me. you
Yeah.
know?
Okay.
Especially when
So-
you're on the drums, you probably shouldn't
Okay.
be
So
checking
we
yours.
have.
checking.
I'm glad
would
you love
never.
Formula One as our friend
So-
and comrade.
I'm just saying.
I have some
You,
questions.
you guys had a whole crisis last week or last time about.
All right. So.
I think it's a
Well,
good.
I have some questions and
Okay,
things for
okay.
Joseph about
Yeah.
Formula
Okay.
One.
Do it.
So here's we were kind of told, why did you grab the flag like you're ready to?
I just gotta have it just in
I'm
case.
not gonna. I promise I'm not gonna try and make this about the Bengals or anything.
okay.
You just did.
but-
So what's the equivalent to the Bengals in Formula One?
Who is the Joe Burrow of the no?
Yeah.
So because you mentioned like it usually happens on Saturday afternoons, right?
No, nope, not.
Or
not even close.
Sunday.
So
Sorry,
I just have
Sunday-
a question,
Sunday.
Grant. Do you listen when people talk?
Did you say Sunday?
Sunday mornings.
Okay, Sunday.
I watch
sorry,
it
Sunday
usually
morning.
on Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So Sunday mornings, I don't like watching sports when it's not live. Like
Or
I
get
don't
over
like
it.
watching recorded. I
get that.
I rarely because
like-
it's already happened, and I'm like I feel like I'm going to end up checking the score
Well,
anyway.
just don't.
Like that's not easy for me
And look,
to do.
I'll watch live whenever I can. Like,
Right.
if it's like a Sunday that we don't have church because
or
we
snow
only
day
meet
or
every other
something.
week,
Yeah.
or like, and there are some races that like. Because they race a few times in the U.S., they race a couple times in South America. There's a Mexico race and a Brazil race. Those will be on during like normal hours
Okay.
our time. So yeah, I'll watch live. But I mean, also I would say once you kind of get into the sport, even if you know how the race ends, it's still fun to watch.
Okay.
Well, because I feel like there's probably like different incentives that teams are playing for.
Yeah, and the one is fun to see how they got there. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, yeah.
So, like every now and then a race comes out exactly how you expect it to, and you're like, okay, probably nothing that exciting happened. But usually there's at least like one thing you're like, oh, how did this guy who's usually terrible finish in third, or why was Max Verstappen in 10th? Like he should be winning. So
How often does the person who gets the pole win the race?
it's very dependent on the track. There are some tracks where it's like almost every time.
Because I asked that question because I'm thinking like if it's like rare that the guy who wins a pole doesn't win the race, I'm like,
No, it's not rare at all. So
like why watch it? It's not-
Charles
you know
Leclerc
what's gonna change.
is a driver for
Excuse me?
Ferrari. Charles Leclerc.
Charles?
Charles Leclerc. If you
Oh.
talk like an
Charles-
American.
There you go.
Charles
Charles Leclerc. He is a driver for Ferrari, and he's kind of known as like Mr. Saturday
Spanish
because
for clerk.
yeah, what?
Leclerc. Spanish for clerk.
Is he part of the?
Right.
Is he part of the
In
Catholic
Spain.
clergy?
Leclerc.
Okay, keep going. So
he's like
Charles.
kind of known as Mr. Saturday because he regularly gets pole, but then kind of falls off a little bit during the race.
Bills.
Like he's really good at. I mean,
That's good. Yeah, no, that's good.
he can hit that
He's
one
Josh
lap.
Allen.
Or Lamar
Amazing.
Jackson.
Like he's so good at the one lap, but then a lot of
Or
times
Joe
will
Burrow.
falter during the race.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, do you have any more you want to share about why somebody should watch Formula One during this break?
More to talk to me about.
Okay.
I'd like to offer myself up as the official
Okay.
Sports
I was
FAM
gonna
Formula One
say-
I don't know,
correspondent.
I've been hearing conflicting things because Jason Tucker told me today that if you really want to know about F1, you should talk to him.
So Jason,
So we need to have Jason
Yeah.
on.
Jason,
Oh, we should have them battle.
Oh
Jason's
gosh,
a
that
Red
would
Bull
be
fan.
Who knows more? What?
crazy.
Jason's a
Oh.
Red Bull fan, which is like,
That being like a Chiefs fan?
yeah, it's like coming into the sport and just picking the best team.
What, Jason?
So
Anyway,
Like
okay,
that-
so who would be the Browns in Formula One?
Haas,
What's
Haas. The Wizard of Haas.
which is an American team. So if you want to like stick to your country loyalty, you could be a Haas fan.
Okay.
You're gonna-
Who are the drivers?
Oh shoot, who do they have this year? They just
are
switched
they all
around.
Husbands?
Who do they have this year? I'm totally blanking right now.
That's so dumb, Luke.
I should know this. I
Yeah.
feel like a
Okay,
bad
so
fan.
all right, so who would be? So Haas is Browns of Formula One. So maybe I could get behind them.
I feel
Okay.
like good teams to follow right now. I mean, obviously, I love McLaren.
Yeah.
Ferrari, I like that
Ferrari.
team. I
was gonna
do
say,
kind
I
of feel like
Ferraris, so I probably.
I kind of feel like picking Ferrari is like becoming a baseball fan and picking the Yankees.
I don't want to
They-
pick Ferrari then.
Man.
Just
Stay in
because
the
they're like
Yankees.
they haven't won a championship in a while, but like historically, they're the best team. They're the team with the most history. But they're also like a very iconic team.
Was
Their
that-
drivers are Charles Leclerc, Lewis
I
Hamilton.
was
is
gonna
with
say
Ferrari
Hamilton.
now.
Yeah, he's known.
Louis
Um,
Bowie.
So I don't hate Ferrari. If you want to kind of take an underdog, but like I said, I believe a team on the rise, Williams. They have my second favorite driver. The team principal, which is like the team boss.
Oh.
I really like their team boss. He's a great.
Why do they call him boss?
Yeah.
Why do they call him principal?
I don't know. It's British.
It's a school.
A British, a principal.
Team principal.
Okay.
Their team principal is really cool. He used to be with Mercedes, with Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes, and is now the team principal at Williams. They have a driver that the driver that Lewis Hamilton replaced at Ferrari, who is arguably better than Lewis Hamilton now. Carlos Sainz is with Williams.
Okay.
I think they're
Where's he
really
signed?
they're my second my second team now. I think they're
Williams is?
they're an exciting team. If you want to kind of
Okay.
pick somebody maybe that isn't super great yet, but maybe good again in the future.
So I'm gonna throw something out here
Okay.
for the three of us. Okay, that Drive to Survive. Okay, we've been told that if you want to become a Formula One fan, to try to get into it, to watch some of. Are you guys willing to commit to watch some episodes of Drive to Survive?
What's it on?
And then
Netflix.
Okay.
the next episode we'll give some reviews to see if that
I'm down
was-
to watch maybe like a couple episodes.
I don't know. I just don't know if Grant can do it if the Bengals aren't in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so who are the
I will
Bengals
jump across the
equivalent?
table and strangle you.
Who are the Bengals equivalent in Formula One?
So like usually bad but kind of good right now.
Sure.
They have like one good driver, but everything else
Yeah.
but their team
Oh,
sucks.
that's a good
Yeah.
question. I don't know.
Yeah, where the driver has to carry their entire team
Yeah.
at this point.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, over the past 10 years or so, it might be McLaren. Like they've been okay,
go.
but not great.
Okay.
Yeah, that
then-
literally said the Bengals have been mediocre for years until like.
And who are their
recently.
drivers?
Lando Norris,
Oh, Lando Calrissian,
Lando
and Chuck
Calrissian,
Norris.
and
And osteoporosis.
yes, there you go. You got it. You got it. You guys are fans now.
Sweet. Okay.
Dude, can I get a...
Luke's gonna talk about guys. I just got to his friends. Guys, I just got into Formula One, and be like, oh yeah. So he's trying to like connect with other Formula One fans. He's like, yeah, I love Lando Calrissian and osteoporosis. They're gonna be like, what?
Yes. All right. Okay. So are you willing to commit to watch a couple episodes?
Yeah, I'll say that on the podcast, and then I won't do it. But yeah, I'll do it. I'm just kidding. I'll do it.
Couple episodes.
Come on, if you're gonna commit, you're
yeah, I'll
committing
do
to thousands of people listening and watching to this.
We did learn last
1,000,
episode
wow.
that Luke likes to lie to authority. So
Yeah, that's true,
That is
Luke.
true.
Listen, you got to make your way out in this world somehow.
Someone's
So-
gonna pull up.
Okay.
Woo woo!
He's
woo.
joking,
Did you
by
watch
the
your
way.
sir?
Hopefully.
Did you watch your
All
Formula
right.
One
So
episodes
okay.
today?
So we're committing. The three of us are
I love
committing to watch a couple episodes, and then next a couple episodes of Drive to Survive, and then on their next episode of the Sports F.A.M. podcast, we will give an evaluation of what if after watching a couple episodes, if we're willing to watch more and willing to become Formula One fans.
I will give you a fair warning. If you start with season 1, Daniel Ricciardo is kind of set up as the hero, the one everybody likes.
Okay.
He's no longer in the sport. So
seriously,
don't become a Daniel Ricciardo fan because of Drive to Survive. Because
what happened?
He just kind of got older and not as good, and he sucks. Lost his job.
Okay. All right. So, anything more on Formula One? You guys have any questions? I guess I just have like a hard time. Like, you know how you go to the arcade and you can sit in one of those driving games and you just drive and it's the same thing over and over again. That's not a sport. You just go and do that.
I mean, in an arcade, I would agree.
Yeah, but that's where I'm just kind of like.
I want you to look up just Google or go on YouTube and look up Formula One neck workout and tell me those guys are.
I will
athletes.
say the amount of physical
The G's they have to endure is crazy.
G's.
Jumanji.
G-force.
The amount of like physical
stamina.
Yeah, that is required to drive one of those cars and do it for a long period of time is pretty crazy.
It's huge mental.
Yeah,
game
like
too.
I would definitely say they are athletes.
Yeah.
Just with everything that they have to deal with. So
Okay.
At least
I've seen the TikToks.
Okay. So all right. So we're agreeing to watch a couple episodes at least
Yeah.
of Drive to Survive. Next Sports FAM podcast episode, we will evaluate what we think of Formula One after watching a couple episodes. Is that cool with you?
love it.
Okay. Sweet. Good job, guys. Thank you, Joseph, for
you,
sharing your.
Joseph.
Yeah.
Should I leave
Okay.
now?
What?
Should I leave now? I did my part.
Yeah,
you can
your contract
stay,
says
you
you have to
can
stay
stay,
for the
I
remainder
guess,
of
I
the
guess.
episode. So
We're paying you for the whole
Okay,
episode.
so I do have a question real quick. I know we kind of wanted to move on, but real quick. Percentage-wise, after Joseph's conversation with us about Formula One, the likelihood of you becoming a Formula One fan.
Before you say that, I have
Yes.
one other argument I wanted to say for becoming a Formula One fan now.
Okay.
Okay.
So, like I said, sometimes it can get a little boring when one team gets too dominant because basically, like every 5-6 years, they have new regulations for how the cars are built, and that's kind of like resets everybody because they all have to build a new car. So, in the middle of that span, like year 3, 4, sometimes one team gets really dominant, but this year and next year are going to be really exciting. Like no one really knows what to expect because this is the last year of the current regulation, which is usually good because everybody's kind of figured it out by now. So a lot of teams are good, and then everything resets next year.
Oh, wow.
So we should have 2 really exciting
Sweet.
seasons back to back.
Okay.
Awesome.
So, all right, Luke, percentage of you after this discourse from Joseph on Formula One of becoming an avid Formula One fan, like to where you would watch races and follow
like religiously?
a team. Well, where you would watch it, where you would follow a team, follow drivers of that team, watch a couple races in a year. Likelihood.
Probably like 70%.
Oh wow.
I think
That's pretty
I think
high.
The biggest thing is I just have to if I can get attached to a team.
Yeah,
I
totally.
think I'll definitely keep up with it and watch
Okay.
it.
Grant, percentage wise.
Well, I was gonna say mine was gonna be a bit more dismal, but at the same time, I'm like, Luke brings up a good point because I am somebody who, like, if I do get, like, it's kind of how I am with
Get
a show.
attached.
Like, if I
Yeah.
get attached to a show real fast, I'm like, man, I'm hooked on it. Like, I can't stop, right? So I would say, I was gonna say, like, because he used to be like, I could care less. It was like 0, and I was gonna be like, like 10 to 20. But I think Luke brings up a point, so like I'll increase that to like 40-50%.
Okay.
Because I think if I can, like I said, if I can find, especially like a driver and a team I really like McLaren or something, I think if I can really get hooked and start paying attention to it, like I think I could become like a much bigger fan of it.
Yeah, I'd probably lean there too. 40, 50, around 40%. But it all comes down to a team. And if you say Haas is like the Browns, and I love like the underdog.
If you just are a glutton for punishment, become a
Dad,
Haas.
you
Well,
have a chance to pick a team that isn't destined for the toilet. Like you can actually pick.
This is it, Dad.
Wow.
You have a
Who's middle?
fresh start.
Okay,
Red
you tell
Bull.
me who would you recommend?
I mean, honestly, McLaren. Like,
Of course, they're your favorite.
You
Yeah,
gotta
I mean,
make.
I'm
you
not
gotta
gonna
make me wanna
recommend
be a
not
McLaren.
That's true.
a couple others that I like. I would recommend Ferrari, honestly. I think you'll take a little bit of crap for picking Ferrari, but I do like them as a team.
Okay. All right.
I want to say Aston Martin because I like their team, but one of their drivers is like the not villain.
Who is
He's
it?
just a jerk.
Lance Stroll, his dad owns the team, and it's the epitome of like,
Nepotism
Yeah.
enters again.
it's
into
like
this
the epitome. He
podcast.
should not be driving, but he does
Okay.
because
He's
of
a
his
nepo
dad.
All
baby.
right, so well, and two, maybe after a couple episodes, we'll all come away going, I'm watching. I'm
already
following.
leaning towards Ferrari or McLaren because
Okay.
I like Ferraris in general, and I think that'd be cool. But then you kind of make me want
That's
to
not,
be
hey,
McLaren.
whatever attaches.
And I
you
feel
to
like
it.
McLaren just got good, so you're not
Okay.
like
like
you're
the-
not
Williams.
coming
I could
in-
go with maybe because like
I like
they were
Williams.
like underdogs for years.
They're exciting.
kind of
Yeah.
on the rise. Okay, all
I
right.
don't think
so,
they're going to be great this year, but I
Okay.
think they're headed
go
in
with
the
that.
right
Future.
direction.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good
Cool.
job.
Yay.
Thank you, Joseph. Good job. All right, so let's move into most likely to. Let's do something here, a little fun, and what we're gonna do is we're each gonna go around and come up with our own most likely to, and we're gonna say of the four of us, which one is most likely to whatever. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Joseph, do you have anything?
Not yet.
Okay.
I just came up with one. and
Okay,
it's kind of
okay.
wild.
Okay.
Which of the four of us is most likely to go streaking onto an NFL field? That just popped into my
Why
head.
do you look at me? I like this is why this is, I would not do this. Maybe
Most
I
likely to
probably
go
would.
streaking on an NFL field.
If I knew there were no repercussions, I could do it. But I could
That's what I'm
not.
saying.
I mean, considering Grant had his shirt off for like an hour before. we started
Hey!
recording.
That's
Hey.
True.
Yeah.
Grant's got the.
I don't know. I feel like
I weirdly could see Joseph doing.
I can see it too.
weird.
I think it's between you two. I could be Joseph.
Yeah.
I'd rather
All right, why
I'd
not?
rather you
Just
not
go.
envision that. But
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
want to, but
Yeah.
like I could
I'd say
see
Luke
it.
or
help myself.
Joseph. What'd you say?
Grant's like, I don't want to, but I can't help myself.
I would say Luke or Joseph.
Is it? I will say it is interesting that that's the first.
It just came. It just popped
Yeah.
in my head. It's
Yeah.
just
All right,
funny.
next, Luke,
it's
go.
funny.
Most
Why is it
likely
me?
to.
Go
I
on,
don't
not
know.
going in a circle.
No. Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
Of the four of us, which one is the most likely to not get picked for a kickball team at the playground?
Dad, totally you.
Like now
Yeah, it's totally you.
or like
In
past.
prime.
Let's go past and present.
Past is me. Everybody thought
I
I was
agree.
so unathletic. I was so
But
skinny.
it's past and present. So. That
Yeah,
like-
so-
it's our primes basically.
So you're saying basically like you.
As a kid, as kids, which one of us is most likely to not
Oh.
get picked when we were kids?
And
we're
That was
talking,
Grant.
I-
kickball team.
we're talking about
Grant.
it as kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody
Dude,
assumed
he
I
was
was
a
so
weird
unathletic.
kid.
Yeah.
No one would have liked him.
I was. It sucked being the kid who like everybody thought wasn't athletic, but it felt so good when I'd have a
Yeah,
game where
true.
I like
I would say you were
was dribbling
speedy.
around people in soccer. It was awesome.
Okay, so Grant as a kid, most likely to now not get picked. It'd be me.
It would be you.
You.
Totally me.
Dude, you would throw a hip.
Have you seen you?
Yes. I've seen me.
You're like 80.
Yeah. Maybe. Not quite.
Are you going to defend yourself or are you just going to
No, I agree with you
think it?
100%.
Okay.
He's gonna take it.
Well, yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
That I would, of the four of us, the most likely to not get picked to be on a kickball team would be me.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
okay
if
with that.
people enter, this is Pastor Mark. I think that immediately clocks you as
He'll be our
somebody to not
chaplain
pick.
for a kickball
to
team.
not pick.
He'll
for a
pray for you if
kickball
there's an
that's right.
injury, but that's about it.
Okay, so next, you got one?
Nope.
Luke, go.
Who's most likely to? Who's most likely?
That's what I was about to say.
Oh, yeah,
I almost reached
I got
for
one.
it.
Who's most likely to hit someone with their car on accident?
Ooh.
You.
It's definitely. I don't know why I said this question because it's probably
It's
me.
you. Wait, but I have done that.
Oh, true. You have done this.
You've
So that's
hit
your
someone
fault.
with your car?
Or a
Like a
car.
person?
Like a person or
Yeah,
another
like a
car?
person. A
person.
person. Run over
I
somebody.
lightly rear-ended
A
someone's
person?
car at a stoplight. I was looking at my phone and I thought I had braked
Oh.
all the way, and I guess I didn't. And I
I'm
bumped
saying
into
I've never been
his
in a car accident.
Well, I've been in multiple.
What's funny is for mine, the only thing that was busted was the grill of my car. I
know
did
what's-
no damage.
you know
to
what's
it.
crazy?
What?
My wife Emily, she would 100% agree.
Yeah.
She does not like my driving at
Yeah.
all.
Well, there's a reason for that,
You're
probably.
a speed demon, bro.
It's
Yeah.
not that. I just think I make bad decisions.
Oh,
yeah,
my
like lying
word.
to a cop. to get out
Yeah,
of a ticket.
yeah. Take that, Luke.
It is a bad
So,
decision.
I
Don't
would
do
say,
it.
Luke, what do you think? Most likely to hit some.
Probably. I mean, I'll go with Luke. I don't-
Okay.
To be fair, also I have the least
To be
amount of driving experience.
I say I don't-
Dude, you
so-
can't, like, justify it now. Like,
I feel like once you've had like 5 years of driving experience, that's not like
it's out the window.
You're like, sorry, I'm only 31. Like,
What do you want from me?
I've only been driving for 7 years.
I can't help running
You
over
can't
people.
blame me. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Luke.
Telling me this doesn't give me bonus points?
That's right.
Dude, I regret asking that question because it was totally me.
Okay.
Set yourself up for failure.
All right,
Like,
Joseph, we're on to you.
who's the most likely to run a marathon?
Dad. No, Dad.
Dad is. Yeah, Dad.
Dad.
You ran 5Ks.
I hate running.
Or, well, I know Joseph
I would
used to
say
run.
Joseph for me,
I would
probably.
say Joseph.
oh, you know
I agree
what?
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joseph.
Although I would love to see Luke run a marathon.
So
I would love to just watch with no training. I would love to just video.
Oh, dude.
running a marathon.
We should do a live. Luke's going to run the flying pig. And where's
Fantasy
we're not-
fantasy
we're not
football
sports-
league, and the loser has to
not-
run the
listen,
flying
you're
pig
gonna
without any
you're gonna
training.
represent the Sports FAM podcast and the
listen,
flying pig.
we're not
no
gonna-
training.
We're not going to be able to post it.
Training. No
We're not
training.
going to be able to post it.
Why?
I'm going to die.
No
can't post it
training.
like that on YouTube.
Luke's going to run
We
the
regret to
half.
inform you the Sports Fan podcast has ended as
Okay, I
opposed
wanna-
because one of our members has died.
Dude, yeah,
I'm sure Emily would love to
Okay.
see me start running.
Okay, hold on. So
I would run it. Maybe if I can get Emily to run it with me.
See, that's the
And
thing.
start
I could
training
see
with
I
me.
you
know
doing
Emily would run it
Emily
with you.
doing-
But can I do training or no?
No
No,
training.
Emily has to
No,
join us
okay, I have
and
to-
point and laugh.
I like
No
seriously,
training.
seriously, I am so out of shape. I will probably get a heart attack. Huzzah.
You're 23.
Send me the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
so
23 and in
okay.
the worst shape of my life.
If we so you said you would. You heard it here. right?
I would not do it without training. I would have to do training.
Here's a proposal. I plan to run the
Yes.
Air Force Half Marathon in Dayton this fall. You have all the
This
way until
fall?
September.
When okay.
Luke's
It's
gonna
it's-
fall over.
It's very flat. It's way easier than the pig.
Okay. Send me the details and maybe I
Just
can
saying, think about
I'll look
Think
into
about
it.
No, you have to
Wow.
commit
here's the
right
deal.
now on
Guys,
the
this
podcast.
is amazing.
Here's
Luke's
the
gonna run a
deal.
marathon.
Because
I'm just
I know
excited Luke's gonna run. Like I think Luke
Anything-
running at all like, makes me happy
You
to
know what's
watch.
funny is
As an older
Yes.
brother, I get to be look at you go.
is I
You call that going?
Look at you try.
at least I'm trying. I've always wanted to get into running, but every time I try, I'm like, dude, this sucks. Like, I don't ever want to do this again. So I think if I had a goal to be like, okay, I just want to run the half marathon, and then maybe start from there, then
Okay.
I feel like I'm
Start
like,
from there.
yeah.
Just start from the half marathon and see what
Oh,
happens.
no, but like having a goal of
Yes,
that,
I agree.
and
Gradually
then
lead
going,
up to it. Start
I
with
agree.
30
Dude,
miles.
I can't be like, I just want to get into running just to run. I can't do that. It has to be like, there has to be something
A
at the
goal,
end that I'm
yeah.
like training for or
Okay.
working towards.
Okay.
Because I
Wow.
suck.
All right. I like this. So, you're willing to do with Joseph
Oh God,
the
this is
half
gonna
marathon?
suck.
Wow, I can't believe this.
Ah,
But
I
Emily
hate
running
this.
with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I can't get her to do it, then I'm not doing it.
Okay.
You and I need to text
Did you
Emily
hear
right now.
that?
He said,
He said if he could get Emily to Emily.
He
Emily,
also said if
you
Emily
gotta
doesn't
listen to
do
this
it-
podcast.
he also said if Emily doesn't do it, he won't do it. So we have
Oh,
to
that's
get
not
Emily
right.
to do it.
Okay.
Well, that's
Isn't she a runner?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So this
what
doesn't
I
seem
think
like a challenge.
I know. All
she'll
right.
be
okay.
dragging Luke across the
Okay.
finish
she
line.
was a junior Olympian actually.
Was she really?
For distance running?
For track.
Well,
Wow.
Yep.
So the likelihood of that means it's very likely Luke's going to run his first half
It's
marathon.
funny. She doesn't like me
Dude, I can't wait.
because I haven't even run a 5K.
You can't even run
can't
the
run a mile.
driveway.
Luke,
I can't run a mile.
Luke can barely walk, let alone run a marathon.
Dude, this is going to be great.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna be so bad.
No.
we all run?
Let me be clear. It's not going to be great.
together.
We should.
No.
Ooh.
Get a whole team.
You ain't getting me to do that. Listen,
I would
it's not
I
going to be
might
great for
consider it.
you. We're just happy for us. Like the entertainment value is amazing.
I don't think I want to be running when Luke's running it.
You're
I
gonna
want
hear
to be.
this. You're gonna hear this.
I want to be watching. I want to be watching. I want to be watching when Luke's running it.
You might need to run it to be there with him, though. Like,
We're gonna
in
need a
his last
cameraman.
moments.
Yeah.
We'll get a drone.
GoPro.
I'll have
bad.
911 dialed ready to hit.
Get a mic me up for it, dude. That'd be so bad. You're gonna hear my
Welcome
heart
to
beating out of my chest.
First, no, you're gonna hear that.
We could get a heart monitor. That'd be so funny, actually.
The first 100 feet.
I'm not gonna make it.
You're gonna hear like, welcome to the 26th episode of the Sports Fam, and we're done.
And Joseph has now replaced Luke as part of our podcast.
That's right. That's right.
You guys
Oh,
might notice
man.
we have a new regular on the show. Well, Luke died, so
Okay.
we can't.
No, seriously. Okay, let's go. Let's do this.
Okay.
All right, you're for sure running it.
I mean, that's my plan as
You
of
signed
now.
up.
Like,
Okay.
barring
Maybe you and
Re-injuring my
Emily
knee
could
or-
train. Is Hannah running it too?
no.
Okay. All right. Okay. So
No offense, babe.
yeah.
But we all know you're not.
All right. So Luke
Hannah
and
hates running.
Luke
Yeah,
Well,
that's me.
yeah. But Luke just
Maybe-
admitted.
But
Hey.
I don't know what we're doing this for, but I like it.
Maybe you can convince Hannah
There's no way.
that if you run
Maybe
it,
Emily could convince Hannah.
Yeah.
Here's why I'll do it is because I think I'm more of a simp. I think I'll do anything to get.
I don't either.
It means you're
Sorry, I
so
was
in
talking
love.
to the mic.
It means you're
Yeah.
so
It's a
in love
podcast
with the
after all.
person that you are in love with that you would literally do anything, and you
Yeah.
you do not make time for anything
So
else.
I
You just
think-
do.
Okay.
So are you
Part
trying
of-
to insinuate that Hannah doesn't love me as much as you love Emily?
I probably yeah.
Wow.
Have you met?
That's
Have
a
you met you?
Have you met you? Who's gonna tell him?
Who's gonna tell him? No, I just think that I am more willing to like do stuff that's outside of my comfort zone for stuff like that. I love that Joseph's just dying at this.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
Who's gonna tell?
All right.
Who's gonna tell him it's killing me?
Yeah. Okay. So you're running a marathon.
I know a half marathon. It's not a marathon. It's a half marathon, right? Please tell me it's a half marathon.
That's even better. That's 13.1 miles.
You're still gonna.
Bro,
have
you're
to-
gonna die at the point one.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So
You're
what's
saying
it?
it doesn't
So
even
what's it matter? What's it matter?
Doesn't matter if
we
it's a
put him
marathon,
for
marathon. You're not
a
making
full
it.
Marathon. He's still gonna die after a half mile. Like there's no.
Hold on. Okay.
Oh, this is great.
I never thought we'd be talking about
my
marathons. Because we
joking.
get to watch you suffer for 20 miles.
You still got like what 7 months until that.
Dude, seriously, go for it.
7 months is a good time to
Luke,
train for
Luke,
that. I think I could do it.
Luke, look at me.
No, okay,
Luke,
hold
look
on.
at me.
That's a long time.
that
If
is.
I consistently do that,
Yeah,
I
you'll be
for
fine.
sure can work up to it.
Luke, look
No,
at
I
me.
agree. I agree with you.
It's not like I'm
I
like
agree with you.
unathletic.
Luke,
True.
well,
No, look.
Luke,
Who's
look at
gonna
me.
tell him?
I'm gonna post my. I hate this bit. I hate this bit. I hate it. I don't like it. It's so reused.
Luke,
This episode title is just gonna be "Who's gonna tell him."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
That's our title.
it. Okay. So
Luke,
I hate
man,
this.
look at me.
This is
you
great.
really think
Look at
you in 7 months,
Yeah.
you are going to be ready to run a half
I
marathon?
can't listen. I can't wait to play this clip 7 months from now when I actually do it.
I can't wait to
Okay.
play this clip
I
in the
feel like he's
hospital.
motivated
What-
now.
I agree 100%.
He's motivated.
I can't wait to play this clip in the hospital bed after
Something-
you
yeah.
fall over.
Something just changed in his demeanor. and he was
Dude,
like,
I
I'm
know.
doing it.
I know.
So
I know. I like it.
What if we train together? So you
Okay.
think for it? Because
Sure.
I need a training buddy.
You could just run over to his
Yes,
house.
you do.
I need somebody.
We'll just our
you know,
runs,
as heck,
like,
I'm not doing it by myself.
You guys
we'll
could
just
just
meet
run
each other
over
in
to
the
his
middle and then
house.
run back to our houses.
Yeah.
No, for real.
That's a good idea.
And honestly, when I ran
said
it
it
2 years
first.
ago, I started training too early because I worked up to the distance too early, and
Yeah.
I think that's why I hurt myself.
Mhm.
But like
Oh gosh,
Two-
I'm not making it.
2-ish months of like really committed, like running 4 or 5 days a week training. 2 months is all you need.
Okay, so I'm at level 0, so I need to like work up to the point to where.
level 0.
Listen,
level
here's the
0.
deal. I need
And
to
we're
work up.
back to what happened last episode.
I need to work up to the point where most people are like, "Oh, I think I could run a half marathon." I need to work up to that point and then start working to get to the half marathon point because I'm nowhere near any close. I'm not a runner at all. I don't even like running.
I
I,
wasn't
hate
either.
it.
It's good to be self-aware.
Yeah. Okay. So right now you're agreeing
Right now, yes, that's the key word.
to run a half marathon
Yes,
with Joseph
and Emily.
if Emily will run with you.
Yeah, because I know here's the deal. Emily won't care about her pace, and I know that she'll just keep up with me to make me feel better about myself.
Oh, I thought you were going to say she won't care about her pace, so she'll just leave me in the dust. Is what, is what I thought
she
you were gonna
might.
say.
She
That's what I
might.
thought you were
Yeah.
gonna
But
say.
I could see
I
her.
think she probably would. Not
She-
leave,
no,
not
she
leave you,
would.
but
If she was
would.
trying,
Oh, she
Emily
would.
would cook all of us.
She ran like a 17-minute 5K in high school.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's insane.
That's crushing it, girl.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Shout out to Emily.
That's my
Yeah,
daughter-in-law.
yeah.
Woo!
That's my wife.
Okay. All right. So, all right. How
My
do you feel
wife.
about being his trainer?
My wife.
Trainer is a strong word. I will run with it.
Partner. What about running partner?
How about
I like that.
sensei?
Emily will be my trainer.
Yeah.
Bow. No, go run over there.
Now run back.
Hiya.
Okay.
Oh, this is gonna.
Wow.
Be so
All right. So that
terrible.
was a great. That might have been our best, most likely to, because that ended with
Dude, that-
Luke running a half
Joseph,
marathon.
I regret ever having you on this podcast.
That's awesome. All right. So next episode or next segment is.
This or that.
All right. Okay. So we have this or that. I think Grant, you're leading this one, right?
Yeah. So. Okay.
Oh, he throws a flag on
Joseph uses
G.
his rights.
Wow.
I just wanted to know what that felt like. I don't have anything to say.
Oh,
But he
we
still
can-
has to be quiet. Now you have to come up with a this or that.
Yeah.
No, I just did. Oh, this or that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was
Oh,
going to
let's
do
see.
it.
No, I mean, we'll still do his.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
Just one this or that.
One, this or that. Okay. Let's see. Let's
Grant's
see.
not a part of
see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. Let's see.
Let's see.
C D E F G H I K K L M N O P.
This or that. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee.
All right, that was easy. We can
All right, well-
fast forward. Grant's minutes up now.
Okay, go, Grant. Go ahead.
I just wanted the experience.
This
you
or
know?
that.
Hey, you get
Oh,
two
see-
flags, so you get one more.
Yeah.
It's coming straight
Yeah.
for me.
I will.
All right, here we go. Here we go. What's the this or that?
Okay, so I was kind of saving this for because NFL season is pretty much over. I wasn't sure if we were going to do this.
It is over.
It's
It is-
definitely over.
Well, as we discussed,
Kind of,
I
yeah.
still watch a crap ton of off-season stuff anyway. So
But the NFL
Um,
season is over.
yes, the NFL
They
season
call, you're in
is
the
over.
NFL off season. They call it the off season. This season is called
You're
the off season.
You're
for the
just
NFL.
not as much of a fan as I am, my guy.
But it's called the off season. It's not called the NFL. They call
Listen,
it the off
save
season.
your
This is
breath.
called an off switch. Now shut up.
Yeah.
All right. So this or that. I thought, because I was trying to come up with like a position or a player that like is not like maybe on a team we all like are super familiar with, and I thought about Brock Bowers, the tight end from
Okay.
the Raiders last year, had a
Okay.
incredible season. And tight ends is kind of a position that like I don't typically know a ton about or like have a ton of like base knowledge of until like we really started watching the receiver show and started watching George Kittle. So I was just like, let's do a this or that Brock Bowers edition. I'm not super great at coming up with comparisons, but I tried to come up with some top-ish tight ends or tight ends that had great games this year to compare Brock Bowers to, because he had a really big breakout rookie season. Tight end out of Georgia, was high prospect, came into the league and basically became the wide receiver one on the Raiders, especially
Right,
after Devontae Adams left.
Yeah.
And then at one point he was competing for the leader in receptions this year. I think Jamar Chase had to beat him as well as like Jefferson and like a couple of
Well, technically, Jamar Chase had to beat everybody else, but
Okay.
Yes,
so what is
but-
the this or that?
So the this or that, Brock Bowers versus first name up. And this is, as Luke said, who would you rather have going into next season?
and it's just next season.
Just next
That's
season.
it.
Not projecting for the future, not like just
1 year
just
contract.
1 year
Yeah,
contract.
1 year contract,
You get
yeah.
these tight ends.
Okay.
It's like what the Bengals do. They only sign tight ends to a 1 year contract.
Yep.
First name up, Travis Kelce.
Ooh. That's tough.
This is so easy.
Go.
It's easily Brock Bowers. So easy.
I think I go
I-
Brock Bowers too.
I'm also
It's
picking
so
Brock Bowers.
easy.
Yep.
I think I'm going Brock Bowers too.
Wow.
But it's. I don't think it's that easy.
So what do you mean?
Kelce fell off this year.
He
dude.
fell off this year, but
He still had a good year for a tight end, but I would say that he
in the
is not
experience,
He also has
Yeah.
a better quarterback option. Well, I guess if we're saying
But it just
take
doesn't
out the
matter.
quarterback.
yeah, but
like,
imagine Brock Bowers. They're going to have a better quarterback next
That's
year.
true. They're
And-
projected to get like
And he
either
had a great
Cam Ward
season.
or Shador, right?
So imagine
Yeah.
with a better quarterback.
but I just think
That's true.
Yup.
I always hesitate to be too high on someone after only one season because some
That's
guys
what
just
makes
have
this. That's what makes this so much better because we have to go based
like,
off only a rookie
some guys
season.
just have breakout rookie seasons and then they just flatline, not flatline, but just plateau.
But I would still say I think
But I think I'd still go Bowers.
Brock Bowers' ceiling is so much higher than Travis Kelce's ceiling next year.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think it's definitely Brock Bowers.
I think the one thing that I would argue for Kelce is if I know like we're just talking about the tight end, but if you're on a team that has like real long term or not long term, but like playoff potential, I think the experience of Kelce could be a huge asset.
Yeah, I could see that.
But
Yeah.
I'm still going Bowers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess.
Wow. That's just surprising to me.
Brock.
Okay.
Do it. Okay.
Name number 2. Me and Dad's guy, George Kittle.
I go Kittle.
Also go
One-
Kittle.
I go George.
I also go
Same.
Kittle.
Same.
Same.
Yeah.
Wow.
I agree.
All agreement.
I think Kittle has-
I think Kittle's a better blocker.
Yeah,
I think
totally.
Bowers is an incredible receiving option.
I think there's a lot of little
is
things
Kittle.
that Kittle does
But
that doesn't-
and that's what I'm talking
outside
about.
of just receiving.
Yes, and I think Kittle does the blocking well. I think because of that, like he is a better, well-rounded tight end, but he is still an elite receiving threat at the
for
same
sure.
time. So I think we go George Kittle.
I think George. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
George Kittle's a good
you
one.
could
Nice.
make the argument that George Kittle is the best tight end in the NFL right now.
For sure.
He was.
You could make that argument.
Wasn't he the All-Pro first team?
I don't know. Actually, that's a good.
I don't know.
That'd be a
He
good
was.
stat to if somebody wants to look that
Look
up.
it up.
Let's be-
Look it up and let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Do it.
All right. Third name, kind of a more obscure
Ooh,
guy.
obscure.
but he had a couple
Okay.
big games.
I like it.
And I don't think he's necessarily had elite quarterback play
This
yet.
is Mike Jasicki. I'm gonna scream.
Jonnu Smith.
Oh, I'm taking Brock Bowers. I think similarly, Johnny Smith kind of had a breakout year this year.
Johnny Smith?
Jonnu.
I know. I thought you said Johnny.
He played behind Kyle Pitts for a year,
It was
and then
so-
he did better than Kyle Pitts, and
It
then
was
he
really
went to the
funny.
Dolphins, and he took a minute to get going, but then towards the end of the season,
For fantasy
Excuse me.
purposes, it was really funny because everyone's like, "Why is Arthur Smith using Jonnu over like Kyle Pitts so much?" And then Jonnu Smith had this year with the Dolphins, and everyone's like, "Okay, maybe Arthur Smith was up to something.
Yeah.
Maybe he knew something."
Yeah. he had a good dude. Someone I was playing against in fantasy football had him, and there was a game where he put up like 30 or 40 points. It was insane.
He had a really good year.
All right, so
Yeah.
you're going Jonnu?
No, I'm taking Brock Bowers.
What?
I was just saying
Talk
that,
the dude up.
but you don't even know who he is.
No, I
just
did
want
know
to.
who
We
he
just
is.
want to
I was
give.
calling you out because you said I thought you said Johnny Smith.
No,
We just want to give Jonnu Smith his flowers because I think
Yeah,
he
agreed.
deserved.
He had a good year.
great season.
Okay,
he
okay.
deserves.
but I'm
Yeah.
taking.
That was kind of why I
Who you
put him
going?
in there.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm going Bowers just because I don't know enough about Jonnu to make an
Sure,
argument.
and that's
for him.
fine.
See, I had
That's
him in
fine.
fantasy, so I feel like that's all the information you need.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Brock.
Yeah.
I'm also gonna go Brock Bowers. I think, like I said, Jonnu Smith, great season, but this was kind of a name in there. I just wanted to give
Who is
acknowledgement for.
Jonnu Smith's
quarterback?
quarterback?
Tua,
Who was Brock Bowers' quarterback?
Aiden O'Connell.
and then sometimes
There you go. I'm going Bowers.
Yeah.
Look at what he did with a very average quarterback.
I will say though, I think Jonnu Smith is
you
a
even wanna
bigger.
give him
Jonnu
average.
Smith, I think, is a bit of a bigger guy, so I think he's also a better blocker, and you have to consider that because
I think he's
part of tight end is
he might
is
be
blocking.
a bigger guy. Like he might be a better athlete than Brock Bowers, but I don't think I would rather have
Sure.
Brock
Yeah,
Bowers.
I
Nice,
agree.
okay.
I think I would still rather have Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers had an incredible season this year.
Okay.
Name number 4, Sam Laporta.
Oh man. I think I'd go Laporta.
Okay,
That's a tough one.
This is a really tough one.
I think I'd go
That's a
Laporta.
tough one.
both of these guys had great rookie seasons, and then Laporta's this year didn't have as great of a year.
I will say it's hard for Laporta to judge him because they had so many weapons on offense.
They had a lot of mouths to feed this year.
and they just and they like using all of them.
Yep.
So it's hard to really judge. And I will say towards the later half of the season, Laporta, they started using him a lot more, and he started. Did a lot better. But I don't know. The only thing I'm going off is Brock Bowers' rookie season was better than Sam Laporta's,
And had not quite as
and
good
didn't
of a
have a good of a
quarterback.
quarterback. So I maybe just take Brock Bowers over Sam Laporta, but it's close.
Yeah, I would go Bowers for a similar argument that everything Bowers did, he did on a bad team with a not very good quarterback. Anything Laporta did good, and this is not to take anything away from Laporta.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But he did it. Anything good that you would say about him, you make the argument that he did that with arguably the best offensive coordinator in one of, if not the best offense.
True.
Yeah.
So how much does that help him? Yes, it also, the talent may take some throws away from him, but still,
Yeah.
again, that's like I said, that's not to take anything away from Laporta, but I would still go Bowers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I still stick with Laporta.
I
I
love
leaned-
Laporta.
So
I don't think
when
there's a bad option there.
No,
when I
no.
initially came up with this, I was leaning Laporta, but I think the more I think about it, just when you really factor in how little quarterback play Sam Laporta or Brock Bowers had this year, you gotta consider just how talented you got to be.
Shout out to my friend Devin who loves Brock Bowers. He's a Raiders fan.
Really?
He's gonna love this. He would probably take Brock Bowers over everybody.
Anybody?
Else.
We have
is a
taken Brock
fair-
Bowers almost over
which is fair.
most people.
I don't think that
the only name we've taken over him so far, I think, is George Kittle.
But
Yeah, true.
He will love this.
Which that's reasonable.
All right,
Yeah.
but you ready? You guys ready for the last name?
Yeah.
I would argue this is the toughest.
Ooh, okay.
At least from when I've pitched this idea to a couple outside people.
I'm confused.
This is the name that
Okay.
Trey McBride.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I can see that. I can see that being tough for some people.
Why?
I'm still going Brock Bowers.
Why is
but
that tough?
They're both white tight ends, and I don't think a lot of them they don't catch a lot of touchdowns, but they get a lot of receptions and a lot of yards.
Okay.
And they're both kind of like their team's receiver.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I feel like a lot of tight ends aren't like their team's receiver. They're more of like a utility option / like their third,
Okay.
like third down clutch. Thing. But I think Trey McBride and Brock Bowers are similar in that aspect to where on their respective teams they're both kind of almost a wide receiver 1, maybe wide receiver 2.
You could say
So-
Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably going to end up being the wide receiver 1 at some point. But like,
Who's the better
Yeah.
quarterback for their team?
Kyler Murray. That's why I'm saying I think I go Brock Bowers.
Yeah, totally. I go Bowers.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
But
Nice.
I do love Trey McBride.
Is
yeah,
I really do love him.
I do like Trey McBride too. I also picked Brock Bowers, even though this is a 1-year thing. You do have to consider Bowers is a little younger, and like with years in the NFL, sometimes there's a little bit of wear and tear there, and so it's just like, okay, at this point, I'm literally considering who's the most injury prone, and I'm just like, neither one really, but it's like I lean towards the guy who's only had 1 year in the NFL and doesn't have as much wear and tear, and
Yeah.
also did it with less talent. But yeah, Trey McBride he's a dog. I like Trey McBride a lot.
really good.
He's been fantastic.
There's a lot of tight ends that I really like in the NFL
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, as far as like, of all those guys you just mentioned, other than Kelsey, I feel like all of those are fantastic options.
oh yeah,
and that's
yeah.
with me being the one who made a small argument for Kelsey with his experience. But like, just setting us like pure talent,
Mm-hmm.
play on the
Okay.
field, all of those are going to make you
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
I have an addendum to your this or that.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
This or that tight end with the better hair. George Kittle, David Njoku.
David Njoku. Oh,
I'm going Kittle.
Oh wow.
Kittle's
Okay.
got like
I
a
mean,
mane.
better in like a terrible way.
yeah. I would say his is a
like
little more
a more
crazy.
iconic.
Njoku's like it's just a good. He's got some good hair.
I like in terms of like preference.
I agree.
I also love
terms-
Dude,
love
I know
Njoku.
he's a
In
stud.
terms
a
of preference,
beast.
I like David Njoku's hair more, but I think George Kittle's hair is more to the NFL, more iconic.
Yeah,
the only
I
thing
get
with
that.
Njoku is that he's slow as molasses, man.
Like,
He
he's
just
so
But he's so good.
physical.
I know, but
he's
he's
just
just
so
He's
hard
a
to tackle.
beast. He's a monster.
Where would
I
you
love
put
him,
Njoku on that comparison?
I would still take Brock Bowers.
I would
but
too.
I
He
think-
also has been hurt a lot.
Yeah,
like,
I would take
I
Bowers.
don't want to.
But I don't think it. I mean, I would take Bowers, but it's not a landslide.
No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. Good job.
This or that.
All right. So, I was gonna.
Did you like that one?
That was good.
Yeah,
I liked that. That was good.
I was
good
pretty
job,
proud
G.
of that one.
Good job. Good job.
I like
I
that
gotta
my
get rid of that and
instinct-
come up with a different this or that for
Yeah,
when
yeah,
NFL
yeah,
season
yeah.
comes
I
back.
love my
right.
instinct is whenever you play that clapping thing, it makes me want to clap. And I'm
Good.
like,
That's what
I thought
what
the
it's there
goal.
for.
If it was just
That's what
to
it should be.
Yeah.
substitute the clapping that we.
All
have
right,
to
so I
do.
want to go back to our special guest, Joseph.
brother.
Okay, so Joseph, this is your time to ask us any question
Oh,
that you would like to ask us, the three of us here on the Sports Fan Podcast. It can be related to sports. It can be completely unrelated to sports. So this is a time for you to ask the Sports Fam any question.
okay.
No, I'm.
No, can we ask him after this? Can we ask him any
We
questions?
kind of
Oh
did.
yeah.
Okay,
Well,
let's do that.
we can
Well,
do
it's
that.
more around. Okay.
Okay,
let's-
we'll start with him, and then he'll come. We'll go
He'll
back
ask
to us.
us.
You'll go one, and then yeah.
Oh, so
you'll
I'm going to go each one of you individually.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
But then
I feel like we both need to answer the question.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
no,
then-
no,
yeah.
I want to. Let me go individually.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I like
okay.
that.
And I want to go to Grant first.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
Okay.
And I want you to answer this with the utmost honesty, knowing that the Lord is watching.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, he's always watching, so you should know that.
That's
Is
true.
Joe Burrow the best quarterback in the NFL?
Ooh, I like
Wow.
this. Joseph, thank you for
Nice.
this. This is good. This is good. Ooh, his silence is kind
It
of.
is so hard to be unbiased in this conversation. It is really hard to be unbiased in this conversation.
You have to be.
I think if you really look at this year, especially like if you're only looking at stats and you're only looking at like, yes, he led the league in touchdowns. He led the league in reception yard or passing yards. He also only threw 9 interceptions on the whole year. He's currently leading the NFL in completion percentage. He passed Drew Brees was it last year or the year before? I don't know. I also saw another stat that like he's up there with like most passing yards in their first 5 seasons or something. And he's up there like in the top 10, and he was hurt for like the equivalent of entire season between the ACL in his first year and the wrist last year. So you could make that argument, but like you also have to consider, but then I go back and be like, well, Lamar Jackson had very similar numbers to him and less interceptions, right? And part of that is because he can just buy himself so much time in the pocket. And you just look at Lamar, and I'm just like, if you're saying
He's just asking the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
Well, but I don't think it's that simple of a question. I think there's so many angles you could answer that question. If you're looking at strictly just
I think that
just
you need
strict ability, like yes, I would say Lamar Jackson. But if you also factor in the ability to get it done in the playoffs, Burrow's gotten further in the playoffs than any other quarterback that's currently
but
in the
also Burrow missed
Shut up.
the playoffs.
He was,
Yeah.
Where's my flag?
Yeah. Hey!
Shut up. This is
Sorry.
Burrow, as I was saying, has gotten further in the playoffs than any of those like other like top 5 QBs other than Patrick Mahomes. And in the AFC at least, right? And so like I think, and he did it with the year they went to the Super Bowl. He hit like I was watching a clip about reading their offensive line. I'm like, this is trash. Like this is people that should
He was
be on
getting beat up.
the practice squad. He is still the most hit quarterback in the NFL. He was the most hit quarterback in the NFL last year. So I'm just like, I lean yes, because I think there's the element of he can get it done in the postseason when he's able to get there. And part of the reason the Bengals were even as successful as they were was because of him having to go and out-throw a bunch of other teams this year. So
we'll give you the guest opportunity to rebuttal.
Okay.
Anyway,
I don't want to rebuttal. I think he is.
What?
Wow.
I'm not
Wow.
as a
can you
non-Bengals
play
fan
the thing, the wonder sound that we do before this or that?
I will say
This made me so okay. This makes me happy because I thought I was about to get crapped
no.
on.
Here's my argument, and I am not I mean, I like the Bengals. I want them to win when they're not playing the Bears.
Yeah.
I love to give Grant crap about how much he loves Joe Burrow, but my argument is, could you make an argument for Lamar?
Yes.
Yes.
Same with Josh Allen. You
Same
could
with
make that
Mahomes.
argument.
I was going to say, you said
Absolutely.
other than Patrick Mahomes, and so that makes
But
Patrick Mahomes.
here's
Patrick Mahomes has had 2 years where he has
Okay,
not
anyway,
played that great.
go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So my
Rebuttal,
argument
rebuttal.
is over Josh Allen, or like what defines making a quarterback the best? Do they need to throw the ball well? Absolutely. Do they need to have good stats? Absolutely. Do they need to win? Yes. Joe Burrow, more than Lamar or Josh Allen, has proven he can win. Josh Allen, at this point, I'm not convinced he'll ever beat Mahomes. Like he's had so many chances and can't do it in the playoffs.
This was
When it
arguably
matters.
his best chance this
right,
year
right.
so
And-
far.
Agreed.
And again, not a Bengals fan,
Yes.
I mean, I am kind of a Bengals fan.
You live in
but that's not
Cincinnati,
my
yeah,
team.
Yeah.
I think realistically, Burrow has beat Mahomes twice in the playoffs. I
Okay.
think
Beat
the,
it, Chiefs fans.
the year of the do-over play, I think you make a really solid argument that Burrow won that game if it was not for the refs. And I'm not one who's big on blaming the refs for everything.
No, I'm not either.
That was a bad game for the refs. I don't know that I agree that Grant's not one to blame the refs, but
Well,
I'm just kidding.
let me be
No.
clear. Until
my
that
word.
game, I
Okay.
wasn't. But yeah.
I'm just saying, I think he statistically has, the only person you could put above him statistically this year is Lamar.
Yep.
I think Burrow's been more consistent with a more true quarterback. Part of what makes Lamar so good is his triple threat.
Yeah.
Or a double threat, I guess. Not really true. I
Dual
don't, know
threat,
what,
yeah.
I don't know what the third thing is.
He catches his
He's
own
a great
passes.
singer.
Believe it or not, he kicks field goals.
But, yeah.
I was talking about Mahomes, not Lamar
Oh,
Jackson.
yeah.
Well, we said Lamar Jackson.
But no,
I said Lamar. Yeah.
Okay,
and I think Mahomes I think he's great. I think he actually all the talk of the referees helping him actually like takes away from a legacy that he deserves. Like I think he's non-Chiefs fans give him so much crap for the flopping or the calls he gets when I think he's a great quarterback.
Yeah.
But
So okay,
But
I'm getting emotional because I actually am so happy because I thought I was gonna get dogged on.
tears in his
my
eyes. He
argument
has
against
tears in his
Mahomes-
eyes.
my argument against Mahomes is he's had a couple bad seasons. Burrow's never really had a bad season when
He's been injured.
healthy.
Yeah.
When he's been healthy, he's never had a bad season. And I
I feel like that has to play a part in it though.
mean,
At least
yeah.
a little bit.
But they were all different, like
And-
unrelated. Like it's not like he kept dealing with the same issue.
And
Anyway.
Mahomes has had so much support between Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo. Like, I think anything the Bengals have won in the Burrow era, they have won because of Joe Burrow.
Yes.
Agreed. But
The Chiefs have been a more complete team.
Yes.
listen,
Not to take away anything from Mahomes.
I hate even bringing this up because I hate bringing this up. But if Patrick Mahomes had Jamar Chase and T Higgins, what would his numbers look like? He ran out he injured his wide receiver one, and then had to his rookie.
He did injure his own wide receiver. I
Yeah.
forgot about Rashi Rice. He fell on him and broke his ankle.
He almost ended his career.
Yeah.
And, then he had Xavier Worthy, who was an unproven rookie. They traded for DeAndre Hopkins, who is washed and is not anywhere close to his prime self. And you have Travis Kelce, who, again, is old and not like himself. And he was still able to will that team into a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I just say if you're doing if you're like the season is done and you're going into next season, every player's available, you have the first pick, and I'm assuming you're going to pick a quarterback.
I'm picking Joe.
You're picking Joe over
I'm picking Joe
Mahomes.
because,
too.
and you know what? I would counter there. What would Patrick Mahomes look like if he had an offensive line as bad as Joe Burrow did when he went to the Super Bowl? What would Patrick Mahomes look like?
What he looked like in the
What,
Super Bowl.
what would Patrick?
That's true.
Dude,
That's true.
Dude, seriously, he did not look good this last year, and he had a horrible offensive line. And we just talked last episode about what happens when a quarterback gets sacked a lot in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
A lot of times they lose.
I think part of any GOAT conversation, or I'm not saying either of those are the GOAT, but I'm
No,
just saying
yeah,
like any
it's Tom.
who's the best conversation.
Yeah.
You kind of you can't take their team into account.
That's true.
Because like you can make that argument for, well, what if I'm trying to think of like a decent middle of the road quarterback.
What if
Jared
Russell-
Goff.
What if, as much as I hate to say this as a Bears fan, if Aaron Rodgers had Jamar Chase and T Higgins, he probably wins 9 Super Bowls. Like,
Oh, through his career.
He also
Throughout
had
his career,
Devontae
yeah.
Adams.
He had
though.
some pretty good wide
Yeah,
receivers.
he did.
though.
He did.
Or
I'm just saying,
middle of the
pretty
road.
good
You said like
receiver.
a
Yeah.
middle of the road.
who's a current middle of the road
You said
receiver?
middle.
Jay
Wait, you said middle of the road, and you went with Aaron Rodgers.
I'm a Bears fan.
Okay, that's
no,
fair.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
like, somebody that's
I feel
not
like
really
Jared Goff
in
is
the
the middle
greatest
of the road.
conversation, but is
Brock
really
Purdy.
good.
Brock Purdy.
Well, no, that maybe middle of the road wasn't the right phrase. What I'm trying to say is somebody who's really good, but not always in like who's the greatest conversations.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, you could always argue, well, what if they had this
Drew
person?
Brees.
Or what if, like, back to Aaron Rodgers. What if Aaron Rodgers had a better coach? What if
Yeah.
you can
Coaching
always
matters so much.
take
Okay.
who's around them.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
kind of have to set
Okay.
that aside because it is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your question
Yes.
to Grant.
Sorry, that
All
took a long
so
time.
No, that's
Grant,
okay.
And you agreed
Can I
with his answer.
can I shake your hand?
With his
Thank
answer.
you so
Okay.
much.
Do you have another
I
question
feel
for Luke or me?
validated.
Wait, is Grant? I'm
wait.
asking you guys now?
Or no? Let's ask Joseph
Let's
a
let
question.
I was gonna say maybe let Joseph ask everyone.
Okay.
those
Okay.
questions
Okay, and
first,
then we'll ask a
go.
question.
Okay, I'll come to
Okay.
you next.
Okay.
And we've talked a little bit of this off the podcast, so feel
Okay.
free to recap.
Okay.
But one of my my current goals as a sports fan is to reinvest in the NBA.
Yeah.
I used to be a big NBA fan, like way back in the Kobe Iverson days was kind of my peak NBA time.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
Have really, really fallen off of it for years, and so I don't even know where a lot of the star players are. I don't even know who some of the star players are at this point.
Okay.
So I'm slowly making my way back in. Spoiler alert, Mark has tried to convince me to be a Cavs fan.
Absolutely.
But
yes.
let's take take your argument to the next level.
My argument to the next level is the name on your shirt for Formula One. They're the Cavs of the NBA.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, they are.
They're the Cavs of the NBA. And so if you're going to be a McLaren fan in Formula One, it would make sense to me then that you would also be a Cavs fan for the NBA. That's one reason. That's one reason. So I think they're similar.
Okay.
Okay. A couple other reasons. One, as far as where you live geographically, like I know Indiana Pacers are.
They
They
suck.
have, they have no draw to me at all.
Right, okay, so then if they have no draw, then you have the Cavs would be next, right? And you also have, because of the Cavs, you have a storied franchise, been around since early 1970s, I believe.
Okay.
You have potentially the greatest ever player to have played in the NBA, played for the Cavs, and
Okay.
won them a championship.
Okay.
So they do have championship pedigree.
Okay.
All right, as a team. I think also as far as this particular Cavs team, they're a blast to watch because they really play. Cavs teams of past, which were like obviously with LeBron, they were kind of like
LeBron.
right. It was like isolation. Like let's just isolate, get LeBron the ball, and have him do his thing. This Cavs team, they play a lot of team ball, really, really well. They're super fun to watch. You have and they're a different built team than a lot of other NBA teams in the sense that they have two bigs. Most NBA teams do not have two bigs. Meaning, so with the Cavs, you have Jarrett Allen, you have Evan Mobley, amazing guys, amazing players. They're young.
Okay.
So this is a team that they're good now. I feel like they're going to be good for a long time. So you're not just like riding the wave. I think this is a team that's here to stay and compete at a high level for many years to come if they can keep the core together. But they're inside, outside. They're great they've got a lot of great, they can shoot the three ball. Their bench is great. Donovan Mitchell. I mean, they had 3 All-Stars. If you're looking for a good team that has a lot of good caliber players on it. So those would be some of the reasons that I would encourage someone to be a Cavs fan. Anyway, I don't know.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
So I know they had 3 All-Stars. I know Donovan Mitchell is kind of he's like the name on the team.
Yeah.
But as far as like star power, he's probably a step below like those top guys, right? Like in terms of he's still really good, probably the best player on the team.
Yeah.
But he's not like on the level of a Giannis or a Luka as far as like star power.
Yeah, I would agree. I think in publicity, I would say. I think in a lot of ways he's as good as them.
And I mean that in a good way because like he's going to be more of a team player. It's not just going to be all about Donovan Mitchell.
Coming into this season, if I remember right, I think they got a new coach this year who they basically sat down with Mitchell and he was like, listen, whatever I need to do so that we can win, if that means less points for me, if that means whatever, then let's, and that's happened this year. Like he's still the best player on the team, but he's not their leading scorer every night.
Okay.
And so sometimes Evan Mobley, sometimes it's Darius Garland, sometimes it's whatever. But they have a great bench player. Ty Jerome, like their bench is amazing in the sense that they've got a lot of no-name guys who've been around for a little while. They're a very deep team. Their coach, it's so good. So anyway, that's where I would say Donovan Mitchell, yes, best player on the team, all-star. Doesn't get the publicity as some of like the Lucas or whoever's, but he definitely is willing to sacrifice and has this year in order for the team to win and succeed.
So would you say if I'm going to go with the Cavs, is Donovan Mitchell still the play? Like I'm going to get a jersey. Do I get a Donovan Mitchell jersey?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would get a Mitchell or probably a Mobley jersey.
Okay.
Mitchell is
Or
still.
Garland.
I would say Mitchell is still the best player on that
Garland's
team.
having. Well, he's an all-star this year. That's the second time he's been an
Garland.
all-star.
Garland's our point guard, right?
Yeah.
I love him.
I love me some point guards.
Okay.
If
Another
you're
thing
a
about-
guy
yeah.
who can create space and out dribble, I still
Another
love
thing
that.
about Mitchell too, like last year, Garland had a very down year, and Mitchell was the one who just kept coming to him and saying, "Listen, we believe in you," and so he went to the coach, I believe, and they talked it out, and they're like, "Listen, whatever I need to do to help him, to help the team, whatever."
Okay.
That's
So-
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Luke.
Yes.
I'm going to stick with the NBA theme.
Okay.
You and I talked a little bit earlier today about there's an argument out there that the NBA is just a bunch of 3-point shooting. It's boring. All they do is dribble down, take the long threes.
Yeah.
Whatever. We talked about why you don't think that's true.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your suggestion to the NBA to fix that perception? Luke's argument was that people have just figured out the game and that the 3-point is so valuable that they're going to take a lot of them.
I think that it may not be as enjoyable to watch, and I think stats kind of like stat tracking and all that may have like ruined, and analytics may have ruined. Honestly, it's probably ruining sports in general because it's just optimizing everything, getting it to a number, and then just executing that number. Then every team is doing the exact same thing because that's what the analytics say to do. I will say that I think that there are a lot of players who don't live and die by the three, and I think teams that rely on players who don't live and die by the three. I think of the Bucks, who yes they have Damian Lillard, but you look at Giannis, he's not a 3-point shooter.
Yep.
And yet, I mean, their team is successful and he's successful.
Yeah.
I even look at teams such as like the Thunder. I mean, they're not a high-scoring 3-point team, but I mean they're one of the best teams in the league. I think that basketball in general is just, I think it's an entertaining sport because I really do think any team can be any team on any given night, just with the different factors that can go into it. A team can just have an off shooting night, and then a team can. That's why I love March Madness, is because it's really easy for an upset to happen. Because the team the best team in the league could just have an off shooting night, and the worst team could have the best shooting night ever, and then they just win, and it's just one game. But I think there's a lot of good, just exciting young players to root for. Unfortunately, you look at Wembanyama, who unfortunately is out for the rest of the season.
Heartbreaking, dude. Yeah. Heartbreaking.
But like even him, it's exciting to see a 7'2" guy pull up from the half court line and drain a shot. Like that's awesome.
Like back in the day, you'd be like, "Oh, he's a center. Clearly, they're gonna just feed him underneath the basket,
I think
right?"
too, just how the game has evolved to see like almost positionless basketball in a way, where you don't entirely have a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, centers, and they do with their desired roles. A lot of it is yes, they have that, but I would say for the most part, there are tons of teams. Like I look at the Rockets. I mean, you got 5 guys on the floor who can just consistently shoot the three, and they're a good young team who's like up and coming. I think they're 4th or 5th in the West.
Yeah, they've had a good season,
and they've had a really good season, and I just think that. Just because it's, teams are pulling up and shooting from 3 all the time, like, yeah, it's a problem, but at the same time, I think it can be really interesting because of the way that the game, I don't know, I just think even because of that, you got teams who will have an off night and they'll miss a bunch of threes, and then a team has an on night and makes a bunch of threes, and then the team that makes them, even though they're probably not the better team, they'll beat, So even though I can see that it can get boring, I personally don't watch a ton of NBA basketball games during regular season. I think during the playoffs is definitely when it picks up. I think, too, regular season is hard because defense is not really that important in the regular season, or at least doesn't seem to be that important to the players. Once the playoff starts, defense becomes a really big... I mean, you see teams putting up 140 points almost every night. And then when you get to the playoffs, I mean, it can be hard to score 100 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I feel like when you got an 82-game season before the playoffs, that I think over half the league makes the playoffs, right? Or is it exactly half?
16.
Yeah, 16.
Yeah.
So, like...
A little more than half.
When you're playing 82 games, if you were going as hard as like a college team goes every night, like you'd have so many injuries and so many guys having to sit out nights because of, to recover. Like I get that you can't go that hard every single night when you're playing that many games.
Yeah. I will say not to say that I think I would love to see defense kind of come back to regular season basketball, but again, I think that kind of just comes back to the analytics of if we just don't play defense and shoot a bunch of threes, we're kind of in a way like not almost resting guys in a way, because you're not like being physical, driving to the lane all the time, like really using your body, putting your body on the line. And then once, playoffs comes, you can kind of be a little more rested, save injuries and stuff like that. Not to say that I wish they would just, say screw it and play some defense and stuff. Yeah. But I think that's probably got to be a mindset of a lot of teams.
So you would say like, it's probably true that there's too much, or there's a lot of 3-point shooting, not a lot of defense, but you don't necessarily think that's a terrible thing.
No, I don't think so. Just because, I mean, it's awesome to watch. Like what players, like look at Jokic. What Jokic does on any given night is insane. He's averaging almost a 30-point triple-double, like 29 points, 11 boards, 11 assists. It's something that, we've never seen.
He also just doesn't look like a guy that you would think plays basketball.
Yeah,
so I would say just because the game is, kind of almost been boiled down to shoots a lot of threes, no defense, doesn't mean that it's not still interesting, because I think the players are I'm going to say this, might get a lot of hate. The players now are way better than the players back then.
Whoa, where's my flag?
Here's why. Because they've
Luke's got them all.
Go
can't-
finish.
because
throwing
here's why
flag
I
at
will
you.
say this.
He knows what's
Players
coming.
they've solved the game. And so you don't have guys who are like freaking out over Jordan doing a simple behind the back dribble. It's like we've seen this before. I would say, okay, maybe not better. Let me rephrase that. Skilled.
Done.
They're
Okay.
more skilled.
Yeah. No way. There's no. Yeah. No way. Do I? I mean, and part of it is obviously my age and looking back and at the NBA over the years. Right. I've been around a little bit longer. I've so much now is on the 3-point. All right. So much of the game is taken away in the sense of, like, in my opinion, thinking. In the sense of, like, inside out, where you would have to think about getting the ball underneath and movement and picking and rolling and all these different things. As far as that's why, like, big men, like, you wouldn't know these, probably don't, like Moses Malone from the Sixers and Brad Doherty, Zydrunas Ilgauskas from the Cavs. Like, back in the day, you had to have a big man. Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, and Tim Duncan. You had to have a big man because that's the way the game was played, and you had to, like, get it inside, outside, and all these different things. And so the problem with today's game is, like, you don't need a big man to be underneath.
I disagree.
Here's a question for the whole group. Okay.
Yeah.
Shaq, arguably best big man of all time. Maybe it's not even arguable. Maybe he just is the best big man of all time.
Okay.
Would he be that good in today's
No.
NBA?
Yes.
No.
I don't think
I
he
think,
would.
No way.
I think he would. Okay.
No way.
I think Shaq
actually-
will dominate, and there is no center, the only person I could see who could maybe do a decent job at maybe slowing Shaq down is potentially Wemby, only because of his length. But I don't think any team could ever stop Shaq.
But would a team, quote unquote, I love, like, the era. Shaq's era was my era.
He was crazy.
Like,
Shaq was
would a
nuts.
team, quote unquote, waste a spot on a guy who can't shoot a free throw,
No.
can't shoot a
No.
mid-range,
No.
can't shoot
They
a three?
wouldn't.
Nowadays, they would never do
That's
that.
what.
That's what I mean.
Oh,
So, like,
okay,
he
okay.
would not succeed.
Wait. Well,
But I don't. Hold on.
I don't know.
He would succeed. I think, but nobody.
No one would give him the chance.
No one. I don't know if anyone would give him the chance. Because of just the lack of skill set. But I think he definitely would dominate in today's NBA.
So, because my argument would be, to your point of whether are these players now better, is it's a different game. Like,
Yeah.
players now are better at the game they're playing now. Players
That's fair.
20 years ago were better
I
at
want
the game.
That's fair
to. I want
point.
to retract my statement. I did not mean better. I just simply mean more skilled.
What's the difference?
I think that they
Yeah.
are better
Like
ball.
Shaq.
I think are better ball handlers.
Like,
I think they. I
Yeah.
mean, there's just more moves that they can do. The step back three. I just think that they are better skilled players. I not saying that that's even a good thing, because sometimes you lose the fundamentals. Look at
Yeah.
Tim Duncan, Mr. Fundamental. He was awesome, and so
He's incredible though.
I don't mean to say that to take away from the old era's players, but I would say that today's NBA is more skilled. So it does
As
make
a whole.
Yes, as a whole. That's why I'm saying it makes it more entertaining to watch because of the skill of those players. Again, if you had a guy like Wembanyama doing what he did, no one would ever let him play basketball. Because they would not want him to shoot threes. No, you're tall, you got to stay in the paint, and doing anything else is ridiculous. The closest thing they had to Wemby was Pau Gasol.
Yeah.
And Manute Bol.
Well, okay.
That's a deep
well,
cut.
that's
Can
okay.
I make a? I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
this is taking loose. Can I make a counter argument to you real
Yeah,
quick?
yeah.
I would say being able to shoot the three makes him more versatile.
Agreed.
Because here's the deal: is now, if you got a big man, and I would say the big man is still necessary for rebounding, 100%.
Yeah, I mean,
because board
yeah.
man gets paid, and rebounding is a huge dude.
That was like
rebounding-
from 4 or 5 years
Hey,
ago.
am I wrong though? No. Board man gets paid because that is a huge point. Turning the ball over, missed opportunities is what allows a team to come back. And if you can capitalize on that, get the ball back, rebounding makes a huge difference, right? I believe in that 100%. I do think the thing that makes the player more versatile is look at let's take Wembanyama for example, right? Okay, if he was strictly a center, you know where he's going to be. You know you have to defend him in this manner. Now he's a shooter. Now you can't defend him the same way down low. You have to prepare to defend him both at the top of the circle and the middle of the paint or in the mid-range area.
Yeah.
It makes a player more versatile. It makes him harder to defend. Therefore, I think it actually adds to the element of, which is why I appreciate good defense in the NBA, because I think now in today's game, it's actually you can make the argument it's harder to defend because players are able to pull up from all kinds of different angles. Even your center, Jokic might not necessarily be a center, but you got Jokic.
Yeah, he is.
He's a center, right? Okay, so I was right. You get Jokic pulling up from three. I'm like, this is a guy that like back in 20 years ago, maybe not even 20 years ago, you're like, oh, he's going to be under the paint. Now you have to worry about him at the top of the arc, taking threes. I mean, I think you could make the argument that it makes a player more versatile.
I think your point is really good. It's a different game now than it was back then. I still think they were very skilled back then because they needed different skills because the game was different back then.
Right.
All right.
It required a different skill set.
Wemby would never survive in the 80s NBA.
That's not true.
He's so slight and thin, they would have eaten the dude up.
They would have been in there. No one could guard Wemby. No one could guard Wemby.
I think
name one person you think would be able to stick with Wemby.
Michael Jordan.
David Ross. Yeah, totally.
No,
yes.
that's false. That is false.
You're wrong. 100%
Well, I think
wrong.
That's so false.
100% wrong.
Wemby could just shoot over anybody.
I love how this turned into a Wemby versus
I know.
the 80s debate.
Well, no, I
This
think
is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. That's
I think
ridiculous.
the proof in the pudding of this
That's ridiculous.
conversation is that like you guys all agreed Shaq would dominate anyone in this NBA, but also Shaq would never be allowed to play in this NBA. So like that just shows it's such a different game that
It
like
is.
a guy who would come in and dominate wouldn't get a shot to do it. Like
Yeah. Well, and I would take a look. I mean, who's the number one rebounder in the game? Do we know?
Now?
Boardman gets paid. That's what Grant said.
It was.
But we don't know who it is.
Oh, I was thinking blocks. At one
it
point,
might be-
JaVale McGee was the
might
the
be
best
Jokic.
blocker.
Okay,
I
so
can look, let me look.
I
it
know.
up. I'm actually
Maybe
curious.
he's averaging the most. Somebody's averaging.
but
a
I
lot.
think you can't compare. It's just so hard to compare the NBA of my era, right? And when I was a kid, and the NBA now, it's totally different.
well, I think even my era, which is
Right.
kind of in between. Like
That's true.
the I feel like it was a middle ground between the two. Like you had a ton of shooters.
Yeah.
But it was still a very physical game. Like you still had the conversation even when I was younger about like, oh, they travel, oh, they don't play defense, like those kind of arguments. But like Shaq, Dikembe Mutombo, like those were the two guys in the finals a bunch.
Sabonis, by the way.
like-
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Well, and
they
a guy
wouldn't
who
play in
can
this
shoot the
NBA.
three.
yeah. Well,
Space
to
the
your
floor.
argument with the Wemby thing, I think because, in my opinion, he'd never get down low. Because he's so slight, the big bodies of the 80s and 90s they'd push him out. There'd be no way he would not be
Shaq
able
would
to
cook.
You have
would
hand
not-
checking.
they
You have
would
hand
not- they
checking
would-
back then, so that makes a bit.
They
of a
would not
difference.
be able to. He wouldn't be able to get the position he gets now because of the big bodies of the 80s
But
and
to
90s.
say that he wouldn't survive is ridiculous.
I don't know. I don't know. All he'd have
A
is an
7'2", a 7'2" guy who can shoot the three and his handles of a guard is not. You think he's not going to be able to survive back then?
Yes, and here's why: because he would have no game in the paint, none.
Who cares? He doesn't need to.
Yes, he does. What enables him at
Joseph,
the three?
you started this.
Listen,
I know.
No, you
I'm sorry.
Who
started
said he's
this.
going to be a center?
what he gets at the three is because he can.
I got money
But
on
look
that.
at his
Just he
defense.
can do what
His
he does
defense,
down low.
he's-
Take out what he does down low. He doesn't have a game up top. Not nearly
That's
the
ridiculous.
not nearly the game he
I
has
can't,
now.
insane.
I can't
That's
believe I'm
insane.
doing this, but I think we need to bring it
Yeah,
back.
okay.
I can't believe
That's
I'm the one who
ridiculous.
has
That's
to do this.
ridiculous.
I really
Throw a
thought
flag.
that.
Throw a flag.
That's
I don't
ridiculous.
have it.
That's ridiculous.
I also used both of mine already. I
Okay.
think.
So here we go. That was awesome.
I can't
That
believe
was
I
awesome.
had to
I'm
be the
throwing a
one to
flag on
intervene.
you.
Why?
Because I haven't used any of mine and I wanted to use it.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right.
So who's
we'll
asking me
see.
questions?
You go first, buddy.
Yeah. So we get to ask you a question.
Okay.
And I guess I'll start. So when was the last time you pooped yourself?
No, stop. You can't laugh. You can't talk. You're penalized. No sounds.
First grade.
That's the last time.
That's a long time ago, my
What
guy.
if you've never like risked a fart and it was a
Oh, I
little
don't know
more?
about that. I don't really
count
keep
that.
track
You
of
don't
that.
I don't
that?
necessarily count
I mean,
that.
I guess you could count it, but I don't keep track of it. I mean, that's
Okay.
happened for
I
sure.
think pooping
Okay.
yourself is when
I
you're
will
like,
tell
I
you a good
literally
story.
can't hold it in. It's coming out.
All right,
I will tell you a
Done.
good
Like, it's
story.
go- we are
Yes.
gone.
So-
Like,
Yeah,
it's
listen.
different.
Yeah. Just
So-
as a story.
Early COVID, I lived in Fort Thomas in an apartment. Beautiful little, if you don't know Fort Thomas, beautiful little like
Yeah.
old school neighborhood, very walkable. It was honestly like the best place to live in like early COVID when literally everything was closed. I would go like, my wife and I didn't have kids at the point, so we were together all day in our small apartment. we need, we both need our alone time too. So I would go on like literally 6 mile walks after work. I would just be like, hey, 5 o'clock, I'm going to go walk till like 6:30 and then I come back for dinner. Walk all through Fort Thomas. If you know the area, we lived like right behind the Starbucks, right off the interstate.
Yeah.
I would walk like all the way to Tower Park, which is like, 3 or 4 miles one direction, come back.
Oh, no.
One time, I got to the very back of Tower Park, literally the furthest point on my walk from home.
From home.
And it hit. I was like, oh no. And like, remind you, nothing is open. So I can't even like run into a gas station, anything like that. Like everything is closed to the public. I was clinched for 3 miles.
Golly, that's
It
crazy.
was the closest I've come as an adult man to fully just fully not making it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was one of the scariest times of my life.
Do I have
answer.
permission to clip that and use that on the social media?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
So I'll just have to say that's twice in 2 episodes back to back. Luke's brought.
Poop to the table.
Yeah.
It's got poop
You
on
could,
the
you, could
brain.
argue, you could argue
okay.
his
All right.
takes.
So do you have a
bringing
question
poop
for
to the table.
Joseph?
Preferably not related to my
Yes,
bathroom.
your
When was the last
bowels.
time you peed yourself? No, I'm just kidding. So mine is sports related, and I need to use this as kind of a segue here. But my question for you, is about March Madness.
Okay.
Because Kentucky's got a decent team this year.
Yeah.
They're top 25. They're ranked, right?
Yeah.
What do you give Kentucky's shot as an unbiased opinion? I try and give an unbiased opinion. I know you're a Kentucky fan, right?
Yeah.
What do you give Kentucky shot to go all the way this year?
Not good.
Really?
Not good. I'm really excited about Kentucky and their future with Mark Pope.
Yeah.
I loved Calipari. I think.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I did. He
That's
brought
surprising.
some of the most fun times of my life. I mean, I was
They
so
won.
young.
They won as an 8 seed with him, right? Against UConn.
Sorry to all my close friends and family.
Sorry to my wife.
Calipari brought some of the most fun, or my girls, my kids.
Sorry, Iris, Eliza, and Hannah.
When
Calipari takes
Iris
the
was
cake.
born, this will
Look.
never compete with the 2012 championship run that
My
Kentucky
daughter's being
had.
born is the second greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
Specifically as a Kentucky fan, some of the most fun. I was alive and vaguely remember the 90s with Patino and those 2 championships. Like I do have vague memories of those, but like I don't really remember them. And I liked Calipari. I thought his stay was a little overdue. He probably should have left a couple years before he did. I agree. I saw some stuff like when he announced that he was leaving, there were some signs in Lexington of like, thank you, coach. Like it was very
Aw.
cordial parting of ways. 'Cause I think pretty much everyone kind of agreed, like, thankful for what he did in Kentucky, but it was time. I think Mark Pope coming in, there was a lot of hesitancy of like, okay, former player, that's cool, but we really have no idea what he's going to do as a coach.
Sure.
They came out and beat Duke this year, and right at the beginning of the season, when I believe Duke was the 1 or 2 seed, that just shot the expectations through the roof. And I think the weird thing about this year is they've won almost all of their really hard games. Like most of the ranked teams they've played, they've beat, and then they've lost like games they should not have lost.
They should have just,
So
dominated.
going in to this year's March Madness, I don't have a ton of hope for them. Like I would predict they'll make it through the first weekend.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what round do you
No
see them
hope for
exiting?
Pope.
I'm guessing they exit in this
He's
in
going to
Sweet
pope
16 of the
himself.
Elite Eight.
And
Okay, that's
So-
still.
so
I mean,
they'll-
that's still a good
Yeah.
ways in. I mean, you guys will probably be like what a
Mark
four
my words,
seed
he
or
will
4 or
pope.
5 seed.
Probably 5. We lost to Alabama last night.
Oh, I
Pope
didn't
his
know that. Yeah,
pants.
but hey, Luke, shut up. He said poped his pants.
But I think back to Calipari, I will say one of my of my whole history of watching sports, one of the most fun was
We're trying to have like a legit conversation,
Was-
and they're making like
I forget
child
what year it
jokes.
was. It was probably was it 2012, the run they made with the Harrison twins?
Yeah.
When Aaron Harrison
I don't know
hit
what
those-
year, but I remember.
I don't know.
was that with Anthony Davis?
No, that's when they won.
Oh,
With-
then it wasn't. Was it 2012 or
I don't know.
The Harrison twins was
that
when
was
they had the
20? That was
It was-
20. It was
Which
Booker's
was-
year.
which
that
was
was
the
Booker's
year?
year. So it was 2014,
Yes, it was
2015, maybe 2014, 13.
What was the year they won as the 8
I don't know.
seed?
Maybe it
I
was
forget.
2012.
That was
I
the
don't
John
know.
Wall.
Keep going.
I don't know.
Keep going.
Yeah,
Keep
okay.
going.
Um, Anyway, that year was like one. So that's why I say like I love Calipari. Like that year, they had a couple other years with just some great shooters. The Jamal Murray year, like they would lose in the playoffs, which was Calipari's issue. Like they never had experience. I don't think Calipari was a great coach. I think he was a great recruiter. I think he was a great mentor. I don't think he was a great basketball coach.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
think that's why when it came to March Madness time, you got to have a great basketball coach. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how inspired your players are. It doesn't matter how talented they are individually. If you don't have a great coach, you're not going to win March Madness.
Yeah.
And
So-
I think that's what Pope has the potential to be. I don't think he'll be that this year.
Yeah. But you
But-
think he's got potential to
Yeah.
bring them through?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
I like that.
Okay.
So Sweet 16, Elite 8.
I think
Pretty good.
if I had to make a prediction, I would say they'll go out in the Sweet 16
Okay.
this year.
Okay.
And I'd be happy with that. First year with a new coach, basically a whole new
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
That's true.
If you can still make it to the Sweet 16, that's a pretty good start.
That's a pretty
impressive.
good start with
Yeah.
with a fresh start to
Yeah.
even get beyond like
Yeah.
to make the tournament
Yeah.
and to get beyond the first round. Like that's a decent like
and then you see what he has a full off season now. He'll likely have some of his players coming back.
yeah.
Yeah.
which Calipari basically never had.
Yeah.
True. Very true.
Get drafted immediately.
Okay. All right. My question.
Well,
and then we'll.
I want to segue
Sorry.
real quick.
Yeah.
Because we need to make
Oh,
the
yeah.
announcement of the
Oh, yeah,
March
yeah,
Madness
yeah.
League.
Yeah,
So, to our listeners and our viewers, I have officially started up the March Madness Sports Fam Bracket Challenge. It has been activated.
Let's do this.
We would love
Sign
to.
up.
The winner gets to be a guest on our podcast.
Yeah.
Is that like a full episode guest or like a segment with the winner?
Depends on who wins.
It also it depends which we say
If
it
we
depends.
like them, we'll see.
Which we say it depends on who wins because we do
Yeah.
have like listeners and viewers that live in like North Carolina, and I'm not saying I wouldn't love to have
Whoa.
them
I
in.
think we also have viewers who are not even in America.
Potentially, we
Wow.
might, but like I would love to have.
Some kid in Taiwan's gonna win it, and we're gonna have to fly him out.
We're gonna need to hire an interpreter.
Yeah,
and,
that's
like,
right.
But anyway,
Pretty messy.
So I would love to have the winner be a live guest for sure. But we just want to be flexible in case that's not
Guys,
possible.
If
that
the
kind of
winner
thing.
can't make it, I'll be a guest.
All right.
Ah, yeah.
Joseph will be his proxy. His or her
Nice.
proxy. The
Okay.
requirements. If you want to join this league, you only need to do two things. You need to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you need to follow the Sports Fam Podcast Instagram. And the Sports Fam Podcast Instagram handle is just at Sports F.A.M. Podcast. No periods, no spaces, nothing. That's the Instagram.
Nothing.
And then it's just clean at Sports
is what
Fam
we are.
Podcast.
We're a bunch of nothings.
I believe the handle, the like technical handle of Sports Fam on YouTube is Sports-1 or Sports Fam-1. But if you just look up Sports Fam Podcast, or if you do follow the Instagram, you can click the link and it will take you to our YouTube channel.
And this is for the March Madness Sports Fan Bracket.
Yes. So to
Yeah.
do that, so just
Do it.
So find us on YouTube, subscribe
Become
to the
a
channel.
guest if you win.
Yes,
That's
Yeah.
great.
Subscribe to
Being a
YouTube.
guest on the show is great.
It's great.
We did not make him say that.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
Yeah.
All right, so
subscribe to the channel, follow the Instagram, and then just get in touch with us, DM us, just let us know you did those two things, and we will
Okay.
let you join the challenge.
If
But I wanted to segue real
if
quick.
you want to hear Grant bring the Bengals into every topic of conversation live,
Grant picked
Win
the
the
Bengals to win March Madness.
win the bracket. You'll get to see it.
is going to.
Let's do it.
Jacob is the point guard. He
That's
did
right,
play
I like it.
Didn't he actually play basketball?
okay, so my question, and we're gonna wrap up with this. Okay, is Joseph, what's something about you that none of us, the three of us, know?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a very good question.
Something about you.
I mean, I could have used that I pooped my pants in first grade. But
Can't
you
use that
know
anymore. Thank you, Luke, for bringing that
Yeah,
out.
I try my
good
best.
job, Luke.
I do my best.
All right. So what's
Bringing out the
something about
challenging
you
questions.
that the three of us do not know?
That's really tough. Hit that button again.
Okay. It's a long
Yeah, it goes
chirping.
for a while. It gives you plenty of time to think
That's
about
just
it.
one.
Dang, these crickets are going nuts.
Another minute that we have to deal with this.
I know. I'm gonna throw a flag on the birds.
That's birds.
Birds.
Yeah, so it
They're supposed to be crickets.
Yeah, it's crickets.
says birds.
Well, you wrote
That's
it.
your
wrong.
handwriting.
I wrote it. It says birds. That's what it says.
Oh,
I
it's
don't
Dad's
know.
handwriting. You never know.
All right. Okay.
That's true.
You got it.
We had a whole intro about how we've known each other for like
I know.
eternity.
I
Yeah,
know.
No.
It could be like I don't know. Doesn't whatever. Anything.
That's a lazy question on your part.
Oh,
Let's do it.
I'm gonna throw a flag on your question.
Whoa.
Does somebody else need to ask him a question?
No.
Or do we just like chill?
wait for him to answer.
I mean, can I use something you didn't know until right before we started recording?
Yeah,
Is that allowed?
that's
Yeah.
that's fair.
Because it's a really sad story about my past.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So I mentioned I was not quite the athlete you know,
Yeah.
growing up. And the one sport which I did excel at was bowling. Through high school, that's rude.
Why would
Through-
you? It's so out of place.
Through high school, I was on our high school's bowling team. We were the first Calvary Christian school team to ever go to a state tournament. We did not win in the state tournament, but we went. We made it to state.
Like NKU for basketball.
And my coach's son was the team captain all through high school. Deserved it. It was not a nepotism situation. He was also the best bowler on the team.
Okay.
But he was a year older than me. So my senior year, I was in line to be team captain. I was excited about it. And then not enough people signed up for the team to have a team.
Oh
Man.
wait,
That's
but
so
we
depressing.
didn't we talk about this on this episode
No.
while we were recording?
We just said I was bowling.
No,
Yeah.
you definitely mentioned that.
Did we?
Definitely mentioned.
Well, this was the story in more depth. Then.
Okay.
with more
Okay.
drama.
I didn't know that the coach's son was actually good.
We did.
So
We did have a little pre.
that we didn't
We
know.
did have a pre-meeting before this. I
Yeah,
wonder if
yeah.
did he bring it up there? Or did
I don't
you talk
remember.
about
Maybe
it
wait
on
to
the
watch this back and be like, "Yep, Joseph definitely said this."
He said it 5 times.
You should ask another question in case I've already said that. So
Okay,
that we
so
can
were
cut
you
that out.
almost a
No,
captain
Luke
on your
can't cut.
bowling team or what?
Man,
What about your
that's-
bowling team
Maybe I-
days?
This just shows how bitter I am. I
Yeah,
just
no
can't
kidding.
get it out of my
Get it out of my
head.
brain.
Guys,
Oh, yeah.
man, I really hated that we didn't get a bowling league an hour and a half later. Guys, did I tell you about how I
Guys,
hated
I know
we
we
didn't
got
get
this
a
whole
football
podcast, but
bowling
can we
league?
talk about my bowling career some more?
Bowling career. Yeah, like is bowling a sport? Remember we talked about that.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Is like what defines a sport?
Not this
Yeah,
episode,
we
next
have-
episode, or not
Yeah.
next one, but that is an episode.
That is
for sure.
that is something we could talk about.
What defines a sport?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd build
Ball.
a pretty solid argument that bowling is not a sport.
It involves a ball.
Really?
It's close.
I think it's more of a sport than pickleball.
I disagree.
Wow. Okay.
I mean,
Hot takes all around.
All right. Any closing comments, guys? I think this is a wrap. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Joseph, thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
it was
Joseph,
a pleasure.
pleasure.
Guys, give a shout out to Joseph.
As far as guest episodes go, I mean, it's got to be the best one we have.
absolutely,
agree.
dude.
I
Without
agree.
a
as
doubt.
a longtime listener,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think it's the
without a
best one
doubt,
listening.
dude. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
I know your drive
this
here.
is a dream come true.
Yeah.
Well, let's be clear.
He was
I
all
drove
right.
here.
Dream bed,
I
dream.
drove here,
Grant drove
I
us
did no
here.
work to make this happen.
and I will be
We had to
driving
go
him
pick
back.
him up. Like
No,
we
not
drove
really.
up.
We're at church
We're the
We're all at
same.
church. We're all parked
sorry.
at the church,
I'm
and
trying
so
to
I
like
just.
build it up, and you guys keep shooting it
Well, it's
down.
because
Sorry,
you're
we don't like to
wrong.
lie to our listeners.
Oh, really,
Oh, but
Luke?
you'll lie to the
wait.
cops. Like, what's
lies to the
Listen, I'll lie to the cops, just not the listeners.
That's
all
right.
right.
That's right. That's where you stand. Okay. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for jumping in here on the Sports FAM podcast. Joseph, thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. We love you guys. Make sure you subscribe, like, follow us on Instagram.
Share with your friends.
Share with your friends.
Join the bracket challenge.
That's right. This wraps it up for the Sports F.
Hey.
M
Podcast.